that shit.
Stiletto pumps in the club. Yeah. Stiletto pumps in the club. Yeah. Get crunk.
I'm rubber down when you see me because I'm coming up fresh. Right with the realest, you feel me? So you should call me the best. I can look jazzy, act nasty with my stiletto heels on. But if I hold this up and drop me, then your hair will get gone. I'm turning heads left and right, so that you see one footstep out the car. Strolling through the club, then I make my way right by the bar. Yeah, your nigga eyeing me, I take him from you, so watch out. I'm looking jazzy, acting classy, but I got a sassy now. Hair is done and nails I too, and I match from head to toe. Then to top it off, I'm rocking 60 like stilettos, ho. Different color every day, that's just to match the mood I'm in. Silver, red, gray, and black, looking this good should be a scene.
Stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? Stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? We rockin' stiletto, so 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 on my feet. I'm sexy with a mug. I'm working on your haters just to see if y'all crunk. We swinging, throwing bows, cause our boys thought we soft. I'm knocking heads off. I'm the baddest of them all. Making niggas fall, man, they fight and it tussling. Club on the scale that the girls might start busting. We crunk and we thug, you can take it public. This is for the girls in the trap, steady hustling. Stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? Stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? We rockin' stiletto, so 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 we rockin' stiletto, so. You wanna stick and look for pictures, this is necessary. Diamond be my name and by the list, girl, you ain't even ready. With my dickies two-piece and my hair pop to the other side. Shaking white interior inside my drop top Chevy ride. Killing all these ladies cause they know I got stilettos on. Your nigga try to holler, but the pimpin' here is way too strong. I'm known for breaking pockets, I can walk it like a topic. Got some product in my closet, ain't no way to help and stop it. I'ma put this shit up on the map cause ATL is where I be. I got my girl Aisha and the princess on the shopping spree. I get them for their goodies and get richer, ain't no pity. I'm the reason why they hurry, I'm the baddest in this city. Yeah, ho, stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? Stiletto pumps in the club. Whoever thought that these girls would get crunk? We rockin' stiletto, so 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 we rockin' stiletto, so.
What's going on, Conscious Crew? It is your host, Consciouztv. Welcome to another riveting episode of the platform. You guys already know what the hell we're here to get into. If you have not checked out Kerrion's exclusive from jail interview with the Dr. Larry D. Reid live, then make sure that you guys go and check out his interview. It was pre-recorded. He had an opportunity to speak to Kerrion Franklin, who you guys know right now is somewhere in Los Angeles in somebody's police precinct. Okay? Telling it all from the payphone. Now, this is a very, 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 very controversial, messy-ass situation with a trillion interesting moving parts that makes this not look good for Kerrion. Of course, you cannot speak about Kerrion Franklin without speaking about and seeing in your mind's eye his situation with his father and all of that trauma and drama that was all a part of 2021. No one happens in a vacuum, including Kerrion Franklin. So in Larry's interview, there were things that came up around his family, the experience of his father. And we're going to get into all of the minutia. I will be dropping the link to allow you guys to come up and give your perspective. There are lots of opinions and perspectives and ideas that folk have. So there's a lot going on. But before we get any further, I want you guys to give me a nasty piece of thumbs up, honey. I'll give you guys a quick Margaret. I'll give a quick replay, but just check out my previous 2 commentaries. And once again, please go over to Dr. Larry D. Reid as well to get the news directly from the source. But give me a nasty piece of thumbs up. This helps with YouTube's algorithm. Get these likes all the way up, honey. All the way up. I want these likes stuck, baby, because they so far up. Okay. I want you guys to also set your notification bell to all, because you never know what day or hour or morning. You never know whether CTV is going to be downloading content when you're on your way to a dick appointment, when you're on your way to a weave appointment, when you're on your way to the brain surgeon, bitch. You just never know when it's coming, girl. But you'll always be notified if you have your notification bell set to all. Also, if you're new here, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, because if I like it, you're absolutely going to love it. And speaking of subscribers, I want to shout out all of the new subscribers. What's going on, bro? Hey, Travis. All of the new subbies who are in the building. Thank you guys for being here and supporting the kingdom. I take you all on wild rides, okay? It's going to be a very complicated relationship. And if you don't mind, please press the gas a step further and share. My moderators, hello to you all. Please respect my mods. Please adhere to any feedback, advice they give to you all. They yield towards powerful hammer, okay? They make a big difference about your stay here in CTV Nation. So please respect them, listen to them, and shout out to all of them. Now, with no further ado, let's run.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, you guys, so before we get any further in, first and foremost, I want to piggyback off of what Larry said about donating. Please donate $11.11 to the MBN network. Larry is putting together the Reformation Experience for the second time around. That'll be happening in July, okay? And he's looking for crowdfunding. Now, you guys know that I recently interviewed Larry 2 days ago, and he hired me to be one of the red carpet correspondents, okay, to interview the celebrities and the LRLs and patrons who will be coming through, girl, okay, for this 3-day extravaganza. Now, if Larry is saying donate, honey, donate, because Larry got the check got to clear, baby. Okay, Larry got to pay. Okay, the CTV and things, baby. This is high-end bussy, baby. Paris Hilton bussy, baby. Top tier Beyonce lemonade ass bussy, baby. Okay? And we all about our bag, baby. So if y'all ain't donating Larry, baby, then we don't know if CTV gonna be in attendance or not, boo. So we need y'all to donate that $11.11, baby, so we can get the conference on the motherfucking road, girl. Okay, because the check got to clear before the bussy steps in front of the microphone, baby. King Bus. Period. Now, for a quick update for you guys who have been like out of the loop. Real quick, Kerrion Franklin, the son of gospel singer, pastor, preacher, Christian extraordinaire Kerrion Franklin, recently was locked up in Los Angeles over what initially was said to be a broken taillight. Now, you guys know who've been keeping up with the commentary that yesterday I ran some footages thanks to the Conscious crew members who have their masters in nosology, who told us, or that footage revealed to us, that taillight, that infamous taillight, had actually been a 2-week-old repair that Kerrion was going to get repaired, but apparently did not. Not getting that taillight repaired almost 3 weeks ago led to him being pulled over, which led to the cops searching the vehicle, finding a gun in the vehicle, taking him down to the local precinct, where they also discovered that he has pending charges against him from Texas. So now he's going to be extradited from LA to deal with those previous Texas charges, which we're still unclear about. And he cannot get out on bond until he's in Texas dealing with all of that foo-la-la. Now, to make matters worse, if it was not bad enough that he got pulled over initially from a taillight where police discovered a gun that Kerrion is proclaiming does not belong to him, Larry Reid dropped some more information regarding a very reliable source, okay? And I have been an LRLer from the very beginning, and the LRLers don't play, okay? Anything that Larry is saying also usually is something that he's also seen in some way, shape, or form. Even if he can't present the evidence, it's something that he has clarified and verified visually and audibly. So he told us that a patron reached out to him, gave him some more details around Kerrion's arrest, which involved, according to his sources, okay, the car that Kerrion was driving in, that he was pulled over in with the broken taillight, belonged to a missing woman who Larry today confirmed is indeed dead. This woman was allegedly murdered. So amidst a broken taillight, gun found in this car, the owner of the vehicle has turned up murdered. And Kerrion is being questioned, allegedly, around this woman's disappearance and her damn death, okay? In tandem with all these charges from Texas. It's a curse that keeps on cursing, girl. Okay, now, Larry allowed us to hear a pre-recorded interview right from the securest phone lines, right from Kerrion himself. And I want to get into, he was arrested in Cali. He has charges pending in Texas. I believe the Franklins are from Texas, or they at least used to inhabit Texas at one point. Ironically, Kerrion's auntie, Kurt Franklin's sister, is also serving a 30-year sentence in Texas as well. Okay? She had been locked up previously for almost a decade regarding drug trafficking. According to Kurt Franklin, his sister got involved with a very low-vibrating, musky thug who does not wash his ass. And in this dangerous, toxic masculine entanglement, his sister began to indulge in a life of crime, in a life of prostitution, which she was using to fund her addiction, allegedly with cocaine. Okay? Well, she had already been a first offender. She had already served time. She got out and she relapsed in some way. Someone stated in my chat that she's allegedly serving a 30-year sentence for murder. Now, I haven't clarified or verified that. And when Kurt Franklin brought the news to the World Wide Web that his sister was now back in prison and serving 3 decades in prison, he did not disclose the details around what led to, well, not what led, but what those charges exactly were. Now, some of you guys were arguing, yes, arrested in Cali and getting sent back to Texas. Hey, Heart of Inspiration. Now, some of y'all were stating that 30 years is quite the sentence for a non-violent offense, for a drug offense. But, baby, Black and brown people are disproportionately sentenced in this country every day. Unfortunately, there are Black and brown men and women who are serving 30, 40, 50 years for non-violent offenses, including petty marijuana charges. Just go look up Kamala Harris, y'all's vice president, honey. Look at her track record all over San Francisco, girl. There's lots of Black and brown people serving major time for petty offenses, petty drug charges, etc. So it very well could be that she has been overly sentenced due to a disproportionate and racist criminal justice system that does that to Black and brown people, or it may in fact be true that she is connected in some way, shape, or form to a murder. But once again, I can't clarify or verify that, but someone did drop that in the chat. Now, in this interview, there's a lot. So let me start with this. Hold on, do I have my allegedly signed bitch? Because I already told y'all not about to, ain't nobody about to send me no type of motherfucking paperwork, baby. Okay, because see, Larry Reid breaking all this goddamn news, baby. So I just feel like, you know, the order, God's order of things is that we sue the first source before we go to suing all the other sources, okay? You know, God says, you know, he's a God of order, baby, out of chaos, honey. Okay, so we got to send the cease and desist and the paperwork, baby. Okay, to the horse first, baby. To the horse, not the echo chamber, but the horse, baby. So where the hell is my allegedly, baby? Because everything stated here today is on allegedly, girl. Hold on. Girl, where's my motherfucking allegedly sign? Don't tell me I threw her away. Also, girl, I got some YouTuber drama to address, girl. Okay, because it's been some bald-headed hoe shit going on in these streets, girl. So I got to tell y'all what's been going on in YouTube land, girl. Amongst some of y'all favorite content creators, girl. It ain't good, baby. It ain't good, girl. Or all of the systems are corrupted, girl. All of these systems. Okay, where is my allegedly sign? Because I cannot find my OJ. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let me go ahead and share Miss Allegedly, girl, because I'm not playing with these motherfucking hoes. Okay. Hold on. Okay, let me blow your ass up, bitch. They needs to see you, honey. These hoes already barely can read and write and type, girl. Hold on. Miss Allegedly, girl, everything stated is allegedly. Okay? Now, first and foremost, I want to say this. People are feeling like Kerrion's responses are very vague. I want you guys to keep in mind, Kerrion is being investigated right now. I mean, allegedly, he's being questioned around a connection to a murder and what was a missing person. Okay? So rightfully so, what he is saying publicly he should be careful about. So some of his responses are going to sound vague. He might even kind of dance around questions out of not wanting to self-incriminate. Okay? There's a lot of proper reasons why Kerrion might be speaking in an airy-fairy kind of a way. Okay, now that's one suggestion. That's one reason. Thank you, Moni girl. Another situation is, to other people's point, it could be because Kerrion knows something, or he in fact may be guilty of more than what we could imagine. Now, I've already stated in my previous commentaries that I myself don't see Kerrion as a murderer. This does not in fact mean he's not capable, but until he's actually proven to have done that, I'm just going to continue to look at him as an innocent man, okay? Now, the facts will play themselves out, and they will be what they will be, okay? Now, to other people's point, sincerity, or transparency. Kerrion might not have done anything, but he may know something that connects him to something that he actually wants nothing about. All these things could be true. All of them could be true. Who the fuck knows, okay? So, even myself, I realized I like Kerrion, but I have to keep an open mind. Okay? I can't act like I know him. So I can't say what he would and wouldn't damn do. Nobody can actually say that about anybody. you know, but I believe he's innocent, at least until proven motherfucking guilty. Okay, that's my personal belief. Now, let's get into some of the things that Kerrion disclosed. Then I'm going to give some commentary around some of that stuff, and then I'm going to drop the link, okay? So in this interview, what we learned is that Kerrion is actually, they're trying to pin multiple gun charges on him, okay? Multiple gun charges. So Kerrion is saying that they are falsifying evidence, that they have planted this evidence, that these weapons and guns do not belong to him. He is innocent, okay? But they're trying to pin multiple gun charges on him. Okay? He also stated that since he's been incarcerated, that he's been requesting medical attention and has not received any medical attention. Okay? You guys know that Kerrion he suffers from mental illness. I think it was reported bipolarism, maybe depression. I'm not really sure. So, of course, him being under circumstances that are going to stimulate great stress and distress, I'm sure his anxiety is through the fucking roof. He sounded god awful on that phone call. He sounded very troubled, very stressed, very fragile, very scared. My heart goes out to Kerrion Franklin. He is saying that he's being mistreated where he is. He did allude to using his platform to address the way that inmates are treated and that people are treated who are in holding cells and serving time, etc. That there's a lot of inhumane treatment of inmates. This is not new to any of us. We know that the criminal justice system is worse than a fucking slave plantation, okay? People are starved. Sometimes they have those guys in those holding cells for several days before they even see a shower. You're usually cramped up, bunked up with other weirdo ass people sweating, farting, pissing, coughing, hacking, who also got pulled off the streets, got pulled out of dog houses and all type of shit. It's a living hell. It's a living hell. Okay? So that makes sense to me. Now, he's saying that also all of this shit was dropped on him, I guess, once he was actually booked and had to take his mugshot, because during his initial arrest, all this other stuff that's coming up, all this extra gun charge shit, all this stuff around this missing woman and her murder, all of this shit was not a part of his initial arrest. He was not made aware that he was being arrested on these grounds or anything like that. Now, what he's actually arrested and booked for, and I think I actually have it here. Hold on. He's actually booked. I want to make sure that there's no. Hold on. Hold on. I want to make sure. Let me share this screen here, honey. Okay. He's technically booked on a misdemeanor charge, and the charge does not go explicitly into detail, but we already know that Kerrion has alleged that he has been pulled over for a broken tail light initially. Now he's being questioned, okay, about the murder and everything. I want to be clear. He's not charged for a murder. He's not charged in connection to a murder, but upon him being pulled over and arrested for this broken tail light slash this weapon, this gun that was found in the car he was driving at the time, they then discovered all these pending charges in Texas, and he was later questioned regarding this missing woman. That's the word on the curb, this murdered woman, okay? So you can see here that he has no bail, okay? And they can't bail him out because he has pre-existing charges in a whole nother state. So to Larry's point, it'd probably be a few weeks before Kerrion sees the light of goddamn day, as you guys can see here. Also, where is it? What was I looking for? Hold on. He was arrested in Beverly Hills. He was pulled over by Beverly Hills PD. He also has a court hearing, you guys, tomorrow, okay? So this will be updated tomorrow, and it will reflect the actual charges, okay? He goes before a judge Tuesday morning, okay? So we will be looking for an update to see what the charges will reflect. As of right now, he's charged with a misdemeanor, and all of that. So all of that is going on, girl. Let me reshare my screen again. Put up all this allegedly, girl. I believe he's on meds for depression and or anxiety, something related to emotional regulating. Okay, so from there he'll be extradited. Okay, extradited to Texas to deal with what the fuck is going on in Texas. Now, he spoke about the vehicle. He said that this woman who initially turned up missing and now has turned up dead, that this woman and her husband sold him the car, or leased him the car. He says the car is registered. All the paperwork on the car is clear. And he says he doesn't know anything about this missing woman shit. But the sources are saying different. And Larry has also said that Kerrion is just flat out not answering certain questions. Larry explicitly stated today that he has directly asked Kerrion around this missing woman, this murdered woman, and Kerrion just won't budge. That Kerrion won't even give up the name of the woman who owns the vehicle. He won't even give up the name of the woman who also was a roommate of Kerrion previously. What I'm assuming and what I got from the way that Larry was articulating things is that this woman was initially a roommate. Also, it's the same woman who leased him this vehicle. Now, that woman's name allegedly is Natalie, from what I have been told. Okay? Lynn Wade is saying he doesn't have an attorney. Well, Larry is assisting in all of those things as well. Okay? But these are things that Larry did not plan on necessarily telling the public. These were things that I'm assuming Larry was just asking so that he, as someone who's trying to help Kerrion in the background of things, can just have a full understanding of what's going on, because you can't help someone with very little information. Okay? So he's asking Kerrion questions so that he can better understand the predicament that Kerrion is actually in, so that he knows what the hell to do for Kerrion. Now, people are asking where his father. According to what Kerrion said in this interview today, it does not appear that Kerrion has been able to speak to his father. People were kind of making a big to-do on why he reached out to Larry. Obviously, Kerrion and his father at this point are estranged. Okay? Kerrion pleaded a case that this is a time where he would want him and his father to put their bullshit aside and for his dad to offer some support. I assume that could be in all facets, emotionally, financially, for Kurt to pull all of his resources and to just show up as a parent. This was a point of controversy. Okay? You guys know that we had a full-on conversation yesterday on my platform regarding Kurt's and Kerrion's dynamics And there's lots of opinions around whether Kurt Franklin should be showing up for Kerrion right now. Matter of fact, let me pull up a image of them. Hold on. Okay, and I'm probably about to trigger some of y'all to fuck up and about to piss some of y'all the fuck off. Okay, I'm just going to be quite very clear. I'm about to give it to you raw, baby. No condom, no lube, no nothing, baby. Prison style. Okay, assume the position. Here's the reality. Is Kurt Franklin actually doesn't owe Kerrion a motherfucking thing? Not diddly duty. Thank you, FB, for the Cash App, love. This my baby mama, baby. She love, girl. I'm her personal. I'm her personal dancer, y'all. Okay, girl. My boo LB just be throwing coin on me, girl. Like I just be shaking that ass all in her face, girl. Thank you, baby Marvel. So back to the story, y'all. Kurt Franklin doesn't owe Kerrion a motherfucking thing. Okay? And y'all know how black parents feel, girl. When you get out of their house, you on your own. When you go to jail, you on your own. These are things within big, bold writing of the new contract when you hit adulthood in black families. When you're 18 and you get the hell out, you on your own. You get your motherfucking ass in trouble. You go to goddamn jail. You go give yourself a motherfucking headache. You're on your own. Don't motherfucking call me about nothing. Now, I don't know whether Kurt gave Kerrion the memo, but I'm just saying that that's a historical census, girl, that goes out to all 18-year-olds leaving the nest, baby. That you are expected to fly, you are expected to float, you are expected to swim, you are expected to hunt, you are expected to do what you do. Now, Kerrion is 33 years of age, so he's a super grown ass nigga. Okay? Very grown. Now, going back to my initial point that Kurt Franklin does not owe Kerrion anything, this is the reality. You have to, because when I look at this situation, I try to keep the entire context in order. The reality is, the public can expect Kurt Franklin to jump in all they want to, and they can use him being a Christian as a justification. They can use this being his son as a justification. But the reality is, Kurt Franklin has been dealing with a very disgruntled and unhappy, and to Kurt's, in Kurt's own words, difficult Kerrion forever now, forever and a day. That this family has been through therapy upon therapy, that this family has made strides and strides and strides to uproot the problem, to resolve those things and move forward. Over all of 2021, we saw Kerrion attempt to expose his father, what seemed to be exposing him when the epic cuss out between him and Kurt happened. We also saw Kerrion also expose his grandmother and his mother. There's a video online. I reviewed this footage of Kerrion standing outside of his grandmother's house. His grandma was trying to calm him down. There had been some dispute over money. The grandmother reached out to her daughter, who was Kerrion's mother. She had to stop what she was doing to come to her mom's house to tell Kerrion to calm down. There was this big drama playing out in this fucking neighborhood, in the front yard. Kerrion was doing all of that. It was just a lot going on, okay? Now, so to that point, this is going to look different to Kurt Franklin than it's going to look to us. Way different. We've only been dealing with Kerrion for a year and a half. Kurt has been dealing with him intimately, relationally, for 3 fucking decades. This is going to look way different. His understanding of his son, his experience of his son, his knowledge of his son. And you all have to keep in mind that y'all ain't the ones who had to have your ass dragged. Y'all aren't the ones who had someone allude to violating them and damn near costed them their career, especially if those things are not even true to begin with, or that's not what Kerrion meant to begin with, but that was the way it was interpreted. That was the way those audios were interpreted. Okay? Y'all are not the ones who have tried to do everything that you can for Kerrion, because in that epic exchange between Kirk and Kerrion, we heard Kirk going on about everything he's done has gone out of the window, and he's tired of pouring into Kerrion's cup and there being a big ass hole at the bottom, making every bit of money, every bit of opportunity, every bit of everything that he's tried to give Kerrion to be on track, to be well, to get his life going, has been disposed of to Kirk's perspective. In tandem with a father who seemingly has been trying for decades, has also been trying without obligation, because these are things that Kurt does not have to fucking do, because Kerrion is a grown man. And the reality, the sickening reality is the burden on Kerrion figuring out why the fuck he's in the world is on him. The burden of Kerrion figuring out his divine purpose and him walking in his own efforts and passions and self-assertion to get where he needs to be in life is first and foremost Kerrion's responsibility. First. It doesn't mean that he won't have help. It doesn't mean that he won't have other people who will be caught to him. But I want to make it clear that his safety, his health, his wealth, and his being are all 4 things that Kerrion Franklin is first and foremost responsible for as a soul and as a man. Kurt Franklin had to figure it out, just like Kerrion got to figure it out. There are aspects of this thing between Kirk and Kerrion that's making me feel like Kerrion is expecting Kirk to give him the answers to his life, to give him the substance of his life, to do all of the walking, while he expects to sit back and reap. Kerrion is giving me narcissistic entitlement. And I ain't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it, damn it. I don't necessarily also appreciate how Kerrion refuses to say Larry Reid's name, because we're all aware that Larry is at this point contributing to his well-being, paying for his therapy, even offered him free studio time, a collaboration. And in that interview in Larry's studio with Kerrion wouldn't even look Larry in his fucking face. And even when he went on in this audio to talk about the people who are there for him, his personal assistant and his team, he didn't even say Larry's name or reference or revere Larry. And yet Larry was obviously one of the emergency contacts. Neither in that initial studio interview, when Larry offered to pay for his therapy, which he still is to this day, put all that shit on the table about free studio, Kerrion didn't as much as give Larry a motherfucking thank you. You know what he did give Larry? He gave Larry a, wow. Okay. Wow. Oh, bitch, okay. Bitch, wow. How about thank you, bro? Wow, that means a lot. Thank you so much. So this sense of entitlement, this sense of I'm owed something, this sense of it's supposed to be this way. Niggas supposed to be helping me. Niggas supposed to be figuring my shit out for me. Niggas supposed to be solving my motherfucking problems. Niggas supposed to be. And ironically, these were the same sentiments echoed by his father during that epic disagreement. Is, you ungrateful son of a bitch, I will put my foot off into your motherfucking ass, you ungrateful son of a mama bitch. Let me tell you what's even more interesting is CJ, the young man, the messy ass young man who recorded that infamous statement by Kerrion about his father. He went on and did an interview before he died from an overdose. And CJ also stated that Kerrion burns every bridge in his life. That every roommate in the house Kerrion ended up at odds with. Even the people that initially liked Kerrion, was interested in getting to know him. And that Kerrion was so difficult and so full of himself that it drove them to eventually start ganging up on him and making him just as miserable in return as he was making all of them in the house. CJ admitted that it was wrong for him to record that shit and that it was wrong for him to upload and try to sell that audio to bloggers. But he also admitted he did it out of revenge. He did it out of being retaliatory against Kerrion. Now, two things have to be going on here. Either Kerrion is a great guy who's just really misunderstood, or Kerrion is the motherfucking problem. Because the old lady sitting under the tree, to Funky Daniva's point, all of our grandmothers have always told us that, baby, if you find that you are the common denominator, always, when it comes to some shit, it's because, bitch, you the problem. It's because you the shit. It's because you're the manure in the situation. It's because you're the glitch in the matrix, baby. Because at some point, statistically, baby, that many people's experiences of you ain't gonna be that far off. When everybody's experience of you is that. That begs the question of you needing to take a long, deep look at self before you just cast away other people's experience and other people's perception of you as merely superficial, or them just being haters, or them just being jealous, or them just being projecting. The other alternative is that they may be telling your ass the fucking truth. A truth that your ego won't allow you to swallow. A truth that your ego won't allow yourself to humble yourself unto. So either Kerrion is one misunderstood motherfucker who just keeps ending up in situations around motherfuckers who don't have the capacity and depth to understand him, therefore they default to translating him wrong, to interpreting him wrong, or there's some problems with the way Kerrion shows up and shows up relationally. Now, I want to say this. Okay, don't ask me about no motherfucking moolah. This is a conversation about Kerrion. Don't talk to me about the damn Bad Boys Club and no other Dragon Ball Z jawline having ass nigga. Whoever you see in this title is who the fuck we talking about. Okay? I know some of y'all suffer from ADHD. Chop, chop, tisk, tisk, baby. Snap out of it. Focus. Okay? Focus. Now, back to Kerrion Franklin. Nobody happens in a vacuum, which is why we always got to talk about people's families, their upbringing. Because for every effect, there is a causation. Gotcha, Joshua. For every effect, there's a causation. Which is why we all had to have a big conversation on the platform yesterday around what has happened in Kerrion's life that set him up this way. Because nobody is an inherently horrible person. No one is inherently broken. We become broken because of our life experiences, because of other people's treatments of us. Kerrion is no different. There are things that have happened to him, things that he has at least perceived. Because sometimes, and because I come from a dysfunctional family, which I'm now so grateful for because it helps me to understand the world so much coming from a dysfunctional family. There are two types of black sheeps. The black sheeps who have actually been fucked over. They have real, tangible, historical events that they can reference. This person RAPE'd me, this person molested me, this person physically abused me, this person emotionally abused me, this person sexually assaulted me. They have real. Don't worry about feel love me while I'm so damn aggressive, okay? I'm testosterone too, baby. I'm estrogen. You just be glad that that aggression is not directed towards you. See how what happens when y'all want to jump in other people's fights and you get your ass monkey stomped instead? When you should have been minding your damn business, just be worried about that aggression not being directed toward you. You stay clear of the fist throwing, okay? If the elbowing and the nunchucking and the drop kicking ain't for you, bitch, you just go on about your merry way. You go on to the counter and you request your Big Mac and your strawberry shake. Don't worry about that aggression going on to the left of you if it ain't directed towards you. Okay? Now, back to the black sheep. Okay? There's that type of black sheep. Matter of fact, mods, tonight, so that I don't get distracted because I got this chat going to the side of me, and anything that ain't got to do with nothing, block a bitch. So I can stay focused in this motherfucker. Okay? Now, You got those type of black sheeps. Ones that have actually been violated and they have experiences to justify the trauma and the pain. Okay? But then you have another type of black sheep. And this black sheep has become injured not due to anything that has actually happened, but they've become injured based upon the way they've interpreted their reality. For instance, you have those black sheeps who are mostly built upon feeling. Well, I felt rejected, but bitch, you weren't. Well, I felt unaccepted, but bitch, you weren't. Well, I felt like mama didn't love me, but bitch, you weren't. You were treated just like everybody else. Well, I felt unattractive and I felt ugly and I felt 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 and I felt. So you got the I'm felt black sheep. Nobody did anything to that motherfucker. Nobody was mistreating that motherfucker, but because that motherfucker has just low self-esteem, because that motherfucker was emotionally greedy and wanted more than what they got, even though what they were given was standard and more than enough and was proportionate to what was given to everybody else. Now, which one of these black sheeps Kerrion is, I don't know. Is Kerrion the black sheep that has actually been abused, that has actually been afflicted, that has actually been the intended target of low vibrating people looking for a host? Because every parasite requires one. Or is Kerrion the black sheep based upon self-injury? Is he a black sheep in his mind? Is he a black sheep according to him? Not according to actual experience, but according to his perception of things. You ever had a low vibrating ass friend who just always thinks bad of themselves? They always think they lost. They always think they're unwanted. And you go in and you always do the patch up work and you cheer them on and you let them know, hey, you're fine. You're great. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're valuable. I love you. And and despite you being there as also a reference, like, well, how can you think you're so undesirable? I'm your friend. I'm your spouse. I'm your boo. What about your two best friends? You don't count them into the equation? Oh, so you just want to choose the low vibrating narrative. For whatever reason, you're addicted to what you don't have, which allows you to be completely blinded to what you do have. It's not that you are just rejected. It's not that you're just losing. You have so many winning aspects of your life, but you're addicted to the losing narrative. You're addicted to the dark side of the moon, the dark side of the narrative. And it's okay to give credit and acknowledgement to the dark side of the narrative, but be fair and acknowledge the well-lit, productive, life-giving aspect of the narrative too. Acknowledge the people that are loving you and striving for you. Acknowledge the blessings that God affords you. Time and time and time and time and time again, because even according to y'all's Bible, it says that you can't serve two masters. You got to make it make sense. So I don't know which one of these black sheeps Kerrion is. I don't know whether he's a black sheep by circumstance and events, and there's historical evidence for the things that traumatized him, or rather the trauma all happened in the way he just perceived his life. This may be why Kirk Franklin and Kerrion are stand on polar sides of the equator. Because Kirk is like, what are you talking about, nigga? I love you. You're with me your whole life. I bust my ass and worked so that you could have a great life. I introduced you to music. I took you on the road with me. I took you under my wing. What are you talking about? So there's a disconnect because Kirk don't know that all of this has happened in Kerrion's head. That despite you being there and taking him there and doing this for him and trying to be this kind of dad to him and blah, 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 that Kerrion was having an entirely different emotional and mental experience of him. And in that way, Kirk don't have to apologize. Or the perfect apology is, I apologize if that's been your experience of me. But the issue with Kirk trying to apologize is that if Kerrion actually believed that his father rejected him when his father's experience of the love for his son was the complete opposite, is that Kerrion is in this to convince Kirk of his actual intention. And I'm sorry. I don't know too many people who are going to let you tell you what their intention is. If I know that I loved you, baby, you're never going to get me to admit that I don't. If I know that I have done everything that I can and then some for your motherfucking ass, you're never going to be able to sit in my face and convince me and get me to tell you that I, in fact, did not. What I am man enough to do is to apologize if that's the way you felt, and apologize if that was your experience of my love. But you're not going to be able to get me to tell you that I don't love you. You're not going to be able to get me to tell you that I intentionally abandon you. And that seems to be what Kerrion wants. Is he wants his father to confess to something that Kirk can't bring himself to confess to because it's not true for Kirk. And as long as that's the way that Kerrion is fighting with Kirk, they're going to be fighting until their fucking deaths. Fighting to the damn deaths. Now, I don't have anything to say about whether Kirk Franklin jumps in or out of this situation. Some people were saying that leaving Kerrion to deal with this on his own, it's harsh, it's cold, and how dare Kirk Franklin, because this is so non-Christian. But I want you guys to keep something in mind. Hold on for a minute. I want you guys to keep something in mind when y'all go to talk about, because contrary to popular belief, is Christ spoke about a lot of virtues and ways of dealing with things, but he spoke more circumstantially than universally, which is why people feel like Christ contradicted himself. But he really didn't. It's just that he discerned the situation at hand and gave the remedy necessary to resolve the conflict in that conflict. Just like Christ's orders to the rich man was give all that you have away to the poor, and you come follow me. That wasn't a blanketed statement to go out to all of the wealth, to go out to all of the rich, to just not be rich. Christ said that to that rich man because that rich man could not see and experience the kingdom of God because he had made his wealth his God. So if he were going to experience the kingdom of God, he would have had to give up his wealth, which were his blinders. But people try to take this shit and paint a broad stroke. You're going to grossly misinterpret and apply the wisdom in scriptures if you do that. Now, people saying that this is harsh to leave Kerrion to this jail shit. Well, your scriptures also, I got so much shit put up on my damn. Your scriptures also explicitly state from the Christ himself. Is this it? That you also should not cast your pearl before fucking swine. Guess who can fall within swine? Guess who can be swine? Your motherfucking mammy with her mean, nasty, judgmental, arrogant, narcissistic, shallow ass. Your father with his absent ass, ignorant ass, patriarchal, toxic, masculine, operating ass. Your child with they selfish, entitled, spoiled, stupid ass. Your pastor with his raggedy, self-centered, bastard ass. Oh yeah, when y'all go to quote the scriptures, baby, don't forget about the part where Christ said at some point, sometimes, you just got to find the good in motherfucking goodbye. Don't hijack the scriptures, baby, and convince so-called believers and Christians, girl, that they need to keep dumpster diving after things that injure them. Because the second commandment in Moses' law was not simply to love others, but to let the love you have for others be a product of, first and foremost, the love you have for your motherfucking self. So I have a first and foremost commitment to reserve me. And in reserving me, I have a commitment to not waste my motherfucking time, to not beat a damn dead horse, to not continually be the perpetual super saver hoe to a motherfucking hoe who don't want to be saved. That at some point, even the wisdom of the Christ consciousness affords me the luxury of hauling ass. Haul ass on out of that shit. Because it ain't getting no better. Haul ass. Leave them to be. Because some things now become a matter of man and God, not man and father. So if Kerrion Franklin was to leave Carrion ass right there to deal with the consequences of his life circumstances and actions, he has a motherfucking divine, cosmic, universal Christ consciousness right to do so. And for all we know, God may in fact be the one telling Kirk to not interject. That you stay out of this, Kurt. Because now this is between me and Mr. Kerrion Franklin. As an earthly father, there is so much that you can do now. I need you to love his ass enough to get the hell out of his damn way and let the best teacher in life teach his ass, which is the life experience itself. Because see, I'm not one of those people who don't believe that tough love is not love, baby. There's love, and there's tough love, but tough love is love. And sometimes when you see a swan, a person insisting upon their way, insisting upon their walk, insisting upon themselves, insisting upon the beat of their own drum, you got to let their motherfucking ass insist right on. Right on off of the damn cliff if that's what's necessary. Because working out your soul salvation is to be worked out individually in fear and in trembling. See, for all we know, God could be sitting Carrion ass down because all that fear Carrion feels, all of that is the only thing. These circumstances here are the only thing powerful enough to bring conviction, which leads to transformation. Sometimes, if you want a person to understand how much that you love them, you got to let them know what it feels like to not have that love. Sometimes you got to hands off so that a person can see what their life looks like without your compassion, without your empathy, without your care, without your input, without your sacrifice, without your giving, without your part. Sometimes people get so caught up in themselves and full of their own ego and full of their own bullshit that they'll never be able to understand that the love you have continued to love them with is not something they're entitled to, but something that's given freely and of choice. And sometimes you got to stop choosing to express it. You got to stop loving them, but sometimes you got to choose to stop expressing that love. See, God don't want us to not love nobody. God wants you to love your enemies, your trolls, your haters. Love them. But you got the right to not express that love. Because a swine would trample over your pearl and your treasure. Would trample over your silver and your motherfucking gold. Wasted effort. Love them enough to let them be. So, we don't know what God is telling Kurt Franklin. We're also not considering that Kurt Franklin is also a man. He's a person. And for his own sanity and the best interest of his life and what he got going on, he might feel that it's better for him to stay out of this. Because every time he tries to help his son, eventually his son finds some way to make him the bad guy. What would cause Kurt Franklin to be encouraged to support someone who keeps eventually making them the bad guy? Who wants to live that way? Who wants to waste effort and time and energy on that thing? Now, I'll say this too. The opposite of that narrative. If Kurt Franklin has did his fair share of allegedly hurting Kerrion emotionally, physically, etc. And Kurt Franklin is the one being narcissistically negligent and just wanting his son to just get over the things that have happened. And just wants to find the easiest way to wrap all this shit up with his son. Then Kurt Franklin is going to be the one to bust hell wide open. If Kurt Franklin has in any way allegedly been the abuser in this situation, and Kerrion is the product of narcissistic abuse, living amongst a parental system that reinforces sunken place psychology, which is, I've been fucked up towards you. Me and you both know that, but I'll act like that hasn't happened. And making a person deny something that has actually in fact happened is enough to drive people into mental illnesses. To act like there was a ghost in the room that only I saw is enough to drive anybody into actual mental illness. Because mistreatment of the mind and mistreatment of the person can lead a very normal, healthy person into a life coupled and exhausted by a plethora of mental illnesses. We're stuck between both of these worlds because we don't know shit. We only know what Kerrion says, and we only know what Kurt Franklin says. But we don't know shit. None of us were there. But what I know, baby, is that if there was a perpetual abuser, because somebody getting their karma right now. Or maybe somebody's. I don't motherfucking know. But what I did hear Kerrion say in that phone call today, because I don't want to rant any further, is that he wants his dad to show up. He just wants to hear from his dad. Kerrion, I'm now starting to become convinced that the universe is trying to single Kerrion out because there's things in Kerrion that give rise to the conflict in his life, that give way to the manifestations that trouble his life. And when people start going to jail and people start like becoming crippled and disabled, where they're kind of forced to really sit the fuck down, to me, I interpret those circumstances as God wants you to have all of your own undivided attention. That's why the sitting your ass down was so extreme. When you have gotten so far out of alignment from yourself, so disconnected from yourself that you can't even find your way back home, now the universe got to conspire against you by conspiring towards your wellness. And if that means severing the motherfucking thumb to save the hand, that's what the universe does. If the universe has to hurt you on the front end for your ass to be saved on the back end, it will. And the fact that Kerrion is in a predicament where now he's alone. This is not the time for Kerrion to cry aloud. This is the time for Kerrion to go deep within. It's time for him to take the most deep dive, baptismal deep dive into his very own being and find himself. Because he's in this darkness somewhere. and the burden of finding out where he is, and all of this opaque blackness is on him. The universe has thrown his ass into the deep dive. The deep motherfucking dive. This is the shadow work of all fucking shadow work that Kerrion is up against. This now has transcended his dad, his mom, his sibling rivalry, his bag, his career. The universe is now calling for soul work and soul retrieval. And no matter the right or wrong of his circumstances, one of the goals in the circumstances is for him to find his motherfucking self in the dark. Because Kerrion on that phone call is still making his experience about his father. And what a lot of people don't want to accept, and I'm going to shut the fuck up and drop the link after this, what a lot of motherfuckers don't want to accept, and trigger warning, is that you may have been abused, you may have been used, you may have been disposed of, you may have been done wrong and betrayed, and everything else in life, baby, have all of the stories to tell. But guess what? Guess motherfucking what? No matter what somebody else did to your motherfucking ass, the burden is on you to clean it the fuck up. Because it happened in your soul. Do you know how many people out here on this motherfucker in this world waiting for somebody to come back and apologize to them? Waiting for someone to come back and make themselves a indentured servant to them out of trying to repair what they in fact did to another person, and that motherfucker who did you wrong ain't coming back, baby. You ain't getting that motherfucking sorry, and it don't matter how motherfucking wrong it is, and how wrong it was, and how wrong you were done. What happens in your soul is your responsibility first and foremost. Just like black people in this racist, capitalistic, patriarchal system, despite having open enemies who created the overarching system that is oppressing them individually, we still have to make the what? Best of oppression. Until our enemies are fully destroyed, disposed of, until the system comes down, we can't also afford to just lie down and whine about it. We got to go on. We got to be resourceful. We've got to be improvisational. And I really want people to understand, because see, about 20 people dropped off right now because they just got triggered up. Because I just told them that that ex-husband who divorced your ass and left you for that big titty hoe around the corner, he ain't never gonna make it right with you. 20 people just dropped off because I just triggered the fuck out of them and told them that that mama who always supported your sister more than she supported you, she ain't never gonna make that shit right. And she ain't never gonna tell you that you were enough. And you gotta clean it up in you. 20-something odd people just dropped the fuck off because I just triggered them the fuck up and told them. That boss who wrongfully terminated you and who unemployment not gonna grant you unemployment for, they ain't never gonna make it right. And you still gotta pay your light bill. They ain't never gonna cut you a check, boo. They ain't never gonna give you a lump sum, baby. That motherfucker who murdered your brother, they never gonna find him. And your brother's death is never going to be atoned for. There's never going to be justice for him. You got to clear it up in you. This system, this ideal American system has convinced a lot of us that there's going to be a happy motherfucking ending circumstantially. That the credits are going to roll. That by the time we get to the end of the picture, that all the variables are going to be right. Nope. For some of us, the end picture is going to be devastating. But what can be right by the time the movie comes to an end is you can be right. This system has not did enough to instill the truth in us. That I don't need nobody to tell me sorry to know that you motherfucking sorry. And I don't need you to tell me that you sorry for me to give myself a chance at happiness beyond your offense. That I don't need you to close shit off for me. Because the same place in me that I allowed to be open to receive the offense is the same motherfucking doorway I have the authority over to close the offense. That you ain't never got to come back and make it well for me to go on and be well. You ain't never got to do that. Because I'm going to love myself enough to be well regardless of whether you honest, integral, loving, strong, powerful, vulnerable, and transparent enough to admit to what you did. I'ma love myself enough to continue to step in the name of motherfucking love regardless of whether you tell them people the damn truth. Regardless of whether you get up on social media and make it right. Regardless of whether you send me a personal text. I love me enough to go on about my happy, merry motherfucking way. Because forgiveness ain't for nobody but you. Forgiveness for you. You. And God gonna let them people leave your ass right there in the shit they did to you. So that you can actually have an opportunity to transcend man and to actually reach for the love and the peace of God. Sometimes God will continue to expose you to the wrong in people so that you can adhere and finally experience the rightness and wholeness of spirit. Because while we get caught up in human dynamics and things go wrong and it would be right to repair things and to say the right things and to admit the right things and to be transparent about the right things, Spirit has provided us also another saving grace beyond relationships to people, where peace can still be obtainable, where joy can still be obtainable, where reciprocity and transformation can still be obtainable. There's a lot of people not coming back for a lot of us who should be coming back. There's a lot of people who ain't never gonna tell us that they sorry. And we're going to have to develop the passion to live happily without it. We're going to have to take responsibility and carve out a path for ourselves that allows us to go on without the things that we think we need. Now, let me tell you what my personal motto is. You got to atone for your shit and got to tell me that you sorry for us to be in relationship for each other. But you ain't got to tell me you sorry for me to be happy. Because, see, to be in relationship to someone is a gift. It can still be well. With all that fuck shit you did, you can go on. I ain't gonna stop you. And I ain't gonna stop me from going on. I don't need your apology to go on with my life. If you want access to me and relationship to me, all that conversation does matter. That I'm sorry does matter. That I know what I did was wrong does matter. That change in behavior does matter. But if we're not going to be in relationship to each other, boo, you not saying sorry ain't going to stop me, baby, from skipping the motherfucking loop. Because I'm going on to be a bad bitch without you. So I only preserve I'm sorry's and only feel that those things are necessary, closure is necessary about offenses when we plan on trying to have relationship. But if we ain't trying to have relationship, bitch, like, girl, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And you're not going to be able to have a relationship to me until you are able to atone and be a proper human fucking being. Because your sorry, let me clear this up too. Your sorry isn't even about sorry. It's not even about what that does to me. You being able to tell the truth, you being able to be accountable, is the receipt that I'm allowing somebody in my life who is mature and who's not a liability. Yeah, I'm sorry don't even mean anything in and of itself. What it reflects back to me, your ability to say I'm sorry, your ability to say you're wrong, reflects back to me that you're striving to be an upright person. And I need to know that. And you need to be that in order to be in my motherfucking space. Because none of us have time for anything less. See, people don't understand that the I'm sorry is about you too. The offender, I'm talking to the perpetrator now. The I'm sorry, the I'm wrong is a reflection of your own personal humanity. Withholding that I'm sorry, withholding doing the right thing in the situation is a reflection of your lack of humanity. Strength and emotional intelligence. I think more people need to tell us in life that closure is within. Do you know how many more people would have been free had the church taught that shit? Had our parents, had our culture reinforced that shit? You know how many people would have already been over the goddamn hill? You know how many people would have never held on to 20 years worth of fucking baggage? Had they known that they don't need anything to be corrected in the situation in order to move on with their goddamn life? We have been conditioned to expect other people to come back and take care of us. And we justified by telling ourselves because they did it, they should undo it. Yeah, but the major problem is it happened in you. And are you really going to leave that mess there just because they spilled that milk in your soul? If a motherfucker was driving in your car and spilled all they McDonald's and French fries all over your shit, and then they got out and went on about their business, you gonna let that shit sit there for a whole year? Just because they did it? You wouldn't accept that in no other circumstances. You wouldn't allow a gust of wind to blow through your damn house window and knock over your flowers in your vases, and then leave it there and tell yourself that the wind needs to come back and clean it up. I didn't do that shit. And what? You're going to live around that glass, live around all that brokenness, and risk further injuring yourself because somebody else did it? That's how a lot of us are acting. Who waiting for a motherfucker to say I'm sorry? Is you're spending time waiting on an I'm sorry, living your life trying to manage a mess that ain't even got to be there at all. If you would just expel it from you, if you would just clean it up. You know how many people are justifying their anger 20, 50 fucking years later over shit that happened 50, 40 goddamn years ago. And they made every other bad choice over the past 30, 40 years because of that mess 40 years ago. Why would you do that to yourself? You're going to make who did it more important than undoing what was done? You're going to prioritize the who's at fault more than you are going to remedy the issue it caused in you? Somebody who loved themselves would never do such a thing unto themselves. Ever. At some point, Kerrion Franklin, the son of gospel singer Kerrion Franklin, is going to have to give up Kirk's side of the story. At some point, Kerrion is going to have to love himself enough to the point that Kirk becomes more and more and more and more irrelevant, where there's nothing standing now but a whole and complete human being. This is what God wants for Kerrion, which is Kerrion. And he can do this without him. He can do this and go forward without him. He can be and have all that God has called him to have and be without him. He is enough, and God knows it. And whatever type of foot God gotta keep on Kerrion's motherfucking neck until he knows that he's enough is the foot and the pressure that God plans on maintaining on his motherfucking neck. As long as Kirk is significant, as long as Kerrion believes that his father is important to his healing, guess what'll happen? He'll lose more of this, more of this, more of this, more of that. And he will become consumed, withdrawn, and ultimately destroyed because this here will take up the space that he's supposed to be taking up within himself. Kurt will spend his life obsessing over him and lose complete sight of himself, and will instead maintain a distorted and injured perception of his father that he'll use to justify his injury. Kerrion would make his entire life about his idea and his emotional experience of his dad. He won't even remember who he is. Be completely consumed by the trauma and the experience of this man here. Beyonce said something very powerful. I encourage you guys to listen to the last song on her Lemonade album, which is called All Night. And during the bridge of the song, Beyonce said something very powerful. And I think it's relevant to Kerrion and Kerrion Franklin situation, which is that she said, my oppressor became my very remedy. Do you know that the only difference between a solution and a problem is perception? Perception. The way you see a thing determines whether it will be shit to you or whether it will be fertilizer. Do you know that that's the only difference between a problem and a solution? It's perception. Kerrion can either use his experience of his father to remain a slave, or he can use the experience of his father to be free. He got two options. In y'all scriptures, y'all Bible says that every man must work out his own soul salvation. So, I don't think that Larry should not help Kerrion. I think that anybody who feels the need to help Kerrion should help Kerrion. But to that very point, Kerrion Franklin also has a right to not help. There were some people arguing that Larry should stay out of it. I think that Larry should do whatever God is telling him to do. Because when we're in trouble, God sends us angels, even if he doesn't send the Holy Spirit. He sends his helper outers. And I think it's time that the people who love Kerrion to start telling him some really hard truths. I hate that he's had an experience of abuse. He's had an experience of rejection, of abandonment, of neglect, I hate it for him. But I would be lying and doing a disservice to Kerrion if I set up on this motherfucker and coddled him. You can recognize the experiences of a victim while also reminding them that their duty is to transcend those circumstances. The job of people who love other people is not to coddle people in their trauma and coddle people in their self-loathing and coddle people. to honor people's experience, but to affirm and encourage them to transcend them. You can have both of those things. And if people don't like you and don't want to be around you because you tell them the other part of the truth is you have been fucked over. The truth is that motherfucker was wrong. The truth is them people did hurt you. The truth is them people did use you. All that you said is true. But the other side of the coin is just as true too, which is it's also time for you to move on. It's time for you to move the fuck on. That's also just as true. Larry is helping by first and foremost being a friend to him. Secondly, by being a financial resource to Kerrion. He's already paying for the therapy that Kerrion has been in over the past few months. And Larry was apparently one of the first people that Kerrion reached out to. And Larry is pulling his strings to figure out what can be done for Kerrion in terms of, I assume, getting him the proper representation, getting him out of jail, figuring out these charges, etc. So that's where he comes in at. But you know, a changed circumstances never changes a person. It's a changed mindset. So I hope that Kerrion isn't looking for his salvation in the proper in the situations, in the right situations, in the right kind of money, in the right type of opportunity. I hope he understands that you can take a traumatized person out of a traumatizing environment, but you also have to take the trauma out of the psychology of the person in order them to really and truly benefit and have longevity and to have long sustainability in a better situation. The two work hand in hand together. You can find you a better mate, but if you are still an insecure motherfucker, you're going to make that relationship a disaster too. Same shit, different toilet. Somebody can blow their motherfucking money. I can give you another stack on stack of stacks. But if you still got a gluttonous ass mentality and you still an impulsive spender, it don't matter how much I replicate the conditions for you, you're going to ruin them. Because sound-mindedness and sound living first starts off as a mentality. This is why a lot of people can't lose weight, because they make it only about the diet. And they think that it's all about maintaining a long distance relationship to the food that is not good for them. It's up here too. Eating right has to be in tandem with resolving all of the issues that cause you to eat unhealthy. Might be an emotional eater. Eat out of loneliness. Eat out of boredom. Maybe you eat also as a way. You eat unhealthy to self-harm unconsciously. You won't be able to attain real solidarity in these new situations with a raggedy old ass mentality. Gotta accommodate the new situation with a new mind. Christ said this too. When God is providing new wine, you must change out the wineskin. They work in tandem. New wine, new wineskin. New wine, new wineskin. New wine, new wineskin. New wine, new wineskin. New weave, new mindset, new money, new attitude, new boo, new me. Both. Look at a lot of these rap niggas. You can take them out of poverty, take them out of the hood, and they'll turn everything else into the damn hood. They'll take their liberation and oppress themselves with their liberation. Look at all these fucking rappers who still out here going to jail, still selling drugs, still participating in the rah-rah and the gang shit. Because you can take the nigga out of the hood, but you can't take the nigga, but you can't take the hood out of the nigga. All of that. I want to give one more opportunity for folk to come on in. I think Kevin was backstage at one point. I'm gonna drop the link. If you guys have anything to say, you want to chime the fuck in, there's the link. If you're new here, once again, subscribe. And like I said, in Larry's chat, girl, we was gonna come here to have the hard conversation. I told y'all I wasn't going to come here tonight to tell y'all what y'all wanted to hear. I hope Kerrion is innocent. If he's innocent, I have complete faith in God that his circumstances and situations are going to work themselves out accordingly, as they do for all right. Hey, Big Mama. Can you hear me?
Hey there, sweetie. How are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud, live, and in color.
I'm
What's
doing
going on?
good. First of all, I got to get this out the way. You look so sexy tonight, boo. You look beautiful.
I got a Janet Jackson titty out.
Don't get mad at me, please. Please don't get mad at me. I just had to get that out the way. You know.
Thank
Take
you,
the obvious first.
Yes.
You're welcome, baby. I totally agree with you. My heart goes out to Kerrion and Kirk, but God is trying to get Kerrion's attention, and he is in the dark night of the soul, which means you got to look within to discover who you are. And I've heard him talk spiritually, so I know he knows about it, but has it reached on the inside of him?
Yes.
You know, so he's just gonna have to trust the process and let it do its work. Because my brother had to do that with my nephew. He kicked him out because oh my God, he was acting crazy. He was acting ruthless, you know, bristling up at my brother. And he said, you know what? The day you feel like you're going to bristle up at me in my house, you got to go because one of us going to get hurt and it ain't going to be me. Okay? So he had to, you know, had to let him know, you know, what was what. And now, thank God, my nephew is 35. He's married on his own. And I pray that he continuously do well, you know, and, you know, but that helped him to see, you know, and my brother said it was many nights I prayed for him. He said, but I wanted him to see what reality is. Because in reality, nobody gonna love you like your parents gonna love you. Let's just face that right there. They're not. You know, they're not. You won't find no other love on this earth like a father or a mother.
Yeah.
So it's time for him to do a lot of inward healing now. A lot of inward healing. And he is spiritual. I can pick that up, but he still like to kind of do that little blame thing, you know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get my little short self back down in the chat. I love you, baby.
I love you too, boo. Thank you so much.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yes, babe.
You're welcome, my love. I love you, and bye-bye.
I love you. Bye-bye. Big Mama touched on that dark night of the soul.
Bye-bye.
exactly what Carrion is going through. Is a dark night of the soul. It's going to be rough, but if you can actually get with and surrender to the dark night of the soul, and you understand what the purpose of that is in your life, it literally is one of the most breathtaking, profound, liberating opportunities you'll ever have in your life. It's actually a blessing to have to endure a dark night of the soul. It is the worst, but it's the worst because when that pendulum swings back to the left, it's just a crispiness and an air of a sense of being that, to the scripture's point, transcend all understanding. It's just beyond human comprehension. At the level of self you're able to operate in your life when you go through something that transformative. I want to also welcome Miss Adams to the platform. Hey, Miss Adams.
Hi, Conscious. How are
Hey, boo.
you?
I am wonderful.
Oh
How are you?
God, I swear to God, you are. Oh, you had me in tears in here because I have a son like Kerrion.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
so I believe him on what he's saying in the jailhouse because of the fact right now in Texas everything is closed. You
mm-hmm,
understand? And my son suffered from the same thing. The only difference is like carry on rants and rave. My son goes a long period before
yeah,
he bust out. And
mm,
what we noticed was we had to not just say nothing and let him go. And then he
mm-hmm,
settled down. And what a lot of people don't know is it's the bipolar depression. And I found out that later that he suffered from that, which he inherit. It's inheritment from the parent side, from his dad's side. You know, even
mm-hmm,
though his dad was in the military, and right now my son went to turn himself in for for he got a speeding ticket. Okay,
mm-hmm,
and honey, they're trying to pin a murder on my son when I know for a fact, yeah, when I know for a fact me, my friend, and my baby boy dropped him and my middle son because my middle son drives 18 wheelers.
mm-hmm,
We dropped him way he was nowhere near, and my I had to call my middle son to bring him down from Atlanta when it hit the news. So I didn't know what nobody was talking about. He didn't even know. He thinking he going to sit 4 days in jail because the courts had been closed due to the COVID and everything, and they like right now he hadn't had a bond here, and they keep pushing it back. They have no evidence, no nothing, and they're trying to. And he was like, I can't tell y'all about a murder that I was never around from. I don't hang with no one. I don't know what y'all talking about. And then like when the phone cut off with Dr. Larry Reid, also they're listening, and if he say anything out the way they will hang up on him. You understand? Because he can't say anything. And so my son is exactly like carry on. The only difference is he's yes ma'am, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes sir, you know. And then if you keep picking on him or egging on him, and it's all due to he don't feel that his when I go to visit him, he really feels like his dad does not love him during the visit. He constantly asks him for his dad. And I had to do like you said. I mean, everything you said on that reality check for Carry On. I had to do that to my son because I raised those three boys. I never asked their father for anything when I never talked bad about their father.
mm-hmm,
Father. You understand? And but when they go into a rant and a rave, that is it. And what the jail system is not equipped for and uh is to handle that type of bipolarism. They give them the wrong medicine. I just lost a little cousin in prison behind that, and he did no murder. And so I'm like terrified. And you're right, because when my son stood to me at 17, because like I told him, hey, baby, we're a black family. We believe in, it's called tatted ass. I'm not gonna let you use that illness as an excuse. I don't care what the white God telling you. I'm telling you what the black God telling me. I'm,
Mm,
I'm gonna bust your ass. So at 17, when he stood up to me, I pulled my gun out and I say, "You get your ass out of my house, and don't you never come back."
mm,
Don't you never come back, because I sacrificed my life working 2 jobs. I put myself and did my own degrees out
mm,
my own pocket. I kept
mm-hmm.
a roof over your house and never been on the system. And you're not going to stand up to me at 17 years old. I say, I took a broken leg. I said, I'm a certified nurse. I'm a process operator. I'm
Mm,
a hair, and then battling cancer. I'd be damn if I let a black child, a black male child of mine, come up against me. And yes, they all stand tall in me, but I'll knock them down. And my children are 27, 25, and 21. I have one I'm paying for his college tuition right now
oh
in
man.
Dallas. I'm almost tapped out of my retirement due to a hostage situation, like you said, with someone stealing an unmarked vehicle from way in New Orleans,
Wow.
and totally broke my back. But
Wow.
everything my boys got, I worked
But
for,
don't
and
worry,
what
Miss
tell?
Adam, because that
Yeah,
baby who you paying for, he
uh-huh.
gonna be he gonna go make that money back to mama.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Take
He,
care
I
of you in
mean,
return.
oh yeah. My 24-year-old he has his own rig. And he drives for another company to help his friends out. We was always helpers, donators, givers. And family can be the worst ones. Those that are jealous that you help get on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, when you go down, you know who there for you and who not there for you. And when I tell you every word you hit tonight, you was talking to me, the situation I endured my whole entire life. And not even to mention to you, I am a survivor of being kidnapped by my
Mm-hmm.
real father, that I didn't even know nothing about this man, from 6.5 to 14 years old. Stabbed me, impregnated me, beat me, stomped me, chained me in a closet.
Jeez.
So it makes me so mad when people holler that and they're really not victims, because that messes with real victim mind. Guess what? I only knew this man 7.5 years, and he died and I couldn't get no answers.
Mm,
And you know what? My mom signed me over to foster care because she was still in love with this man,
mm,
who happened to be, she was my oldest sisters and brothers' best friend. So I've been through a lot, and I'd be damned if I let my strong black children, men, go
mm,
through anything. I had to raise myself. You
mm.
understand? I
Yeah,
always kept a couple of jobs, but don't kick me while I'm taking care of my 80-year-old grandmother right now, because nobody in the family want to do it.
I know what that's like.
And it's hard. It's really, and going to council, driving every day back and forth to Houston.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
You are taking on the weight of the world, Miss
Oh
Adams.
yeah. I've
You
always
are
been the
you are
mother.
a miracle child.
Oh yeah. So that's why, I mean, I was in here boohoo crying. I'm like, I
Mm,
gotta figure out how to get onto this, onto conscious, because he is, I mean, I swear every word you said about Kerrion and Kirk Franklin, those are my exact words to my son. And like I told him,
mm,
he's sitting you here for a reason.
yeah.
At first, I was hurt because it's always been me and my boys, but I
Mm-hmm.
never let my boys, and by me being raised around all boys, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you not gonna buck me. I'm gonna buck you. I'm the
Yeah.
parent. And when I had enough, if you don't like what I'm saying to you, even though you're grown,
Mm-hmm.
hit that damn door and
Yes.
don't come back.
Mm-hmm. 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 And look, Carrion is in a way an archetypal symbol of all of us.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I was I can speak that, okay, now what are you going to do shit, is because like Carrion, like most people, I too had a false
Mm-hmm.
sense of reality. I too expected things that were not going to happen. I too have
Mm-hmm.
had my fair share of hurt and pain, and the question becomes now what? Now what?
Exactly.
Now, if somebody in your life wrote your story for you over the past 20 years or 15 years,
There you go.
now that you're able to exist without that person, you have the beautiful opportunity to now paint the
Mm-hmm.
rest of your experience according to you, not according to
Mm-hmm.
others, not according to that pain, not according to what's behind you now. And I think that we have to start telling people who have not tell people, you can't tell someone to get over it, but we have to
Right.
reiterate to people who have been hurt that
Right.
the grass is greener. There is another reality beyond your hurts, and
Mm-hmm.
intentionally strive for that for your sake. For your sake.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes as victims, we think that holding on to the pain almost is a way to punish those who have put us in pain.
Right.
It's
And
a
and
way
that's
of,
why I think I covered myself and indulged myself into working a lot of jobs and stuff. And what really got me is me, I was paying for a mother love who never loved me. Who never loved me, because I told on this man. Imagine being 14, weighing 37 pounds,
yeah.
pregnated, 5 minutes to live, you know. And so, like I told my sons, y'all haven't endured nothing, and I kept it pushing. I say the system failed me. Everybody failed me. At 14 years old, I only stayed in that foster care system one day, and I got my own place and was on my own ever since,
Mm-hmm,
and never looked back. And yeah, it's the nightmares. And like with my son, I was telling him, listen, you can't do it your way. If it was a male talking to a male, I said, I don't know why y'all try to be aggressive toward women when we're telling you something. You
mm-hmm,
understand? I say, but I don't back down, and I'm not a cusser, but so what I do is I'll stop talking to my children, and that hurts them more.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm,
Kerrion reminds me, like my the one that my 27-year-old, he was like, I was on my own. I had to go get a job. You damn right. I say, y'all had it easy. But anything you want outside of what I had to provide, you got to go get a job and get that. I wasn't putting those Jordans on your feet, just sending Jordan kids to school. I'm trying to pay for y'all college, and each one of y'all have a diploma, and you can't say nobody paid for it but mama. But he would do that to me. Now, long as I'm seeing things his way and giving him money, and then he'll go tell, just like Carry On, this biggest lot of, oh, my mama ain't did nothing for me, this and that and that, and his friends come back and tell me that. I was the type, I'm gonna confront you in front of your friends. So how you got what you got, son? Where your daddy was? He didn't even want you, and I didn't bother him. I
yeah.
say, put yourself in your brother's shoes where his father died at the
Mm,
age of 14, and look what he made out of himself: a truck driver owner, and worked for a company, and constantly helping somebody. I say, so all that is excuses. And when they get something made up in their head conscious, that's just it and all,
yeah.
and then they'll come back and they want to apologize. And like I told him, I can't do you right now, baby. I said, because what you're not going to do is lie on me at
Mm,
all. I say, because I could have been a type of mother to the money that I work for and everything. I could have been in the clubs, everything. Y'all never saw a man run through my home. Even y'all dads had their own places. Y'all never seen me go out to clubs and
mm,
none of that. All my time was devoted to you guys.
yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, I'm sorry. Y'all grown now. And it's sad because I'm 47 years old, conscious.
Mm-hmm,
Just because I've been listening to you, I'm just learning how to love myself. I'm just learning how to accept myself. I'm just learning how to go do
Yeah.
things on myself.
Yeah.
Because I never hung with with
Mm-hmm.
people. I was terrified because I'm like, they know. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I
Mm-hmm.
never trusted nobody.
Yeah.
You know.
But you are giving yourself a chance now, and you just need to know that you deserve that chance. You giving yourself a chance now. Give
Yeah.
yourself a chance now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
deserve that. You are worthy of that chance. You are worthy of moving forward. You are worthy of a solid relationship to yourself, your beingness. You are worthy of that, and you cannot allow any life experience to take that away from you and or to determine that for
Yeah.
you. We have to stop paying for what other people did to us.
Yeah. It was like
We've got paying for it.
I was put in a mother position at a young age. I made sure all my brothers and sisters got their degrees that was under me. And when I went down, and my husband of 20 years didn't know that he had married me to get back at his ex-wife. And when I told him I had cancer in 2019, he walked out on me
Mhm.
and left. I didn't care though, because I always had that wall built up. I don't know. I say, well, when God send the right person to take my heart, I hope it don't be too late, because I've been through too much childhood rape and abuse, even by pastors, counselors,
Mhm.
you know. And then when you go, if it wasn't for my grandma, I had 5 minutes to live. If it wasn't for my grandmother, because my mama said, let her die.
Mm.
Let her die over a
Yeah.
man that I didn't even know. I always thought my stepfather was my real father,
Yeah.
you know? And from the age of 4 to 6, so when the other one in 3 days, I was whisked away because my stepdaddy beat his own brother for doing that to me. You understand? And then here
Let
it
me
is.
tell you something, Ms. Adams. Sometimes, because this was my process of working through a lot of people who hurt me growing up, is what humans would do sometime when they don't know what to do with the agony in their own soul and the pain in their own self, is that they will transfer that.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are people who don't know better, we will make that transference personal, and we will start
Mm-hmm.
to tell ourselves a personal narrative around the way someone treated us and think that that had to do with me. And it had to do with
Right.
me not being good enough. It had to do with me being cursed or me. We take that,
Right.
something that we have to grossly divorce. I spoke about a situation with my mom toward the
Mm-hmm.
last year of her life. She was on her fifth stroke, and she became a shell of herself. She became very negative. She was very confrontational, very
Mm.
combative. She became very mean spirited, very nasty, to the point where it was difficult for anybody to be around her. And
Yeah.
I had to honor her for a time period by not speaking to her to avoid conflict. That was my way of honoring her, was distancing myself so that there could be no opportunity for disrespect
And,
on either end.
and that's
And
what I have done with the entire
and it took me,
family.
yeah, and it took me time to understand that what I was experiencing from her had nothing to do with me or anybody else. My mom just didn't
Mm-mm.
have anywhere else to place her pain and her anger and her distortion except on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And in that weird, twisted way, we self-medicate by transferring our bullshit into other people through abusing them, traumatizing
Right.
them. It's all a way in a attempt to empty out our own cup. We don't
Oh my
necessarily mean to
God.
destroy the other person in the mean self, but every parasite is looking for a host. We're looking
I,
to get this shit out of us by any means necessary. And so there's a lot of people who have internalized the things that have done to them. They think that has something to do with their self-worth, their value, their beauty, their sense of self. It has nothing to do with us. That
I don't
ugly
know who my mama got to do with, because she got 7 of us, and she does them. She does all of us. She does all of us. She can't start nothing. I'm like, this is worse than Jezebel. I said, I can't be around. I'm a positive person. I like to laugh and I like to have fun and I like to help people, you know? And I can't be around a person that loves to hurt people,
yeah, yeah,
elderlies, kids, whatever. I can't be around that. So I guess that's why I only hang with one person, because I can't do it conscious. I mean, I'm not a
You don't
fighter.
have to. You don't
Uh,
have any obligation to do a fucked up motherfucker. You don't have
yeah,
no burden of responsibility. I
yeah,
believe in loving people from very afar.
me too. And it takes one time with me, one time. And that's why I come to find out, that's why my son is sitting back there, because my mom called and lied. The one that's like Kerrion, my mom called and lied, because I'm like, I can handle him, and every time I go to visit him, that's the first thing come out of his mouth.
Yeah,
You talk to my daddy, and I'm like, I just had to give him the real truth. I kept covering, and I say, listen, your dad said he's never coming to see you.
mm,
He wants nothing to do with you. Now, mind you, and it all stemmed from another, his oldest son being taken out of his life, and I used to tell him all the time, hey, when that child get 18, he's gonna come back around. I would chase this
mm,
dude to make him spend time with this son and
mm,
everything. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, because that's not my character. I said, I'm not asking you for money, anything like that. You understand?
no,
Never did, because I've always worked to provide for mine. And like I said, I went into early retirement because one minute I'm doing fine, next minute, pow, cancer. I didn't want to take the treatments, but my boys forced me to, and I was like, I was feeling better before these treatments. That's why I'm sitting in the dark, cause
mm, mm,
you know. But
yeah,
other than that, I swear, what you was describing when you first came on about Carrion, the only difference is my son is not mouthy,
got it.
unless you constantly at him, and then it's no control. He gonna
Right.
say and do whatever. It's called, it's he was diagnosed with bipolar depression, schizophrenia. So
Mm,
what Carry On believe is true,
yeah.
because it's that way with my
Right.
son,
Yeah.
but we know different.
It's
And
true.
then when they snap back, and then you sit down and you get them calmed down,
Yeah.
you tell them, it can go over and over and over again, but when they're set off, triggered off, that's it. They really believe what they say.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
believe what they say. And
Yeah.
especially like, and like I said too, another thing plays a factor too. If he and his dad are the same way, strong in
Mm.
beliefs, because that's how my son and his dad is.
Stubborn. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like if Kirk tell him, well, you gonna go to the service, or you gonna go to college, you going to the Navy, well, he gonna show him different. And that's where that rebellious part of him come in at, because that's what my son did.
Mm-hmm.
Which I already knew he couldn't go due to the mental state. But so his daddy like, I'm not messing with you because you won't do what I say do. And I mean, when they get together, they got 3 minutes together, and that's it. All hell break a loose.
Mm.
I'm being called and everything,
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not doing it. So I had to let him know, your daddy's not coming to see you. And all he want to do is see him. He don't want no money. He don't want
Yeah.
nothing. He just want to see his face. And
Yeah.
and what they get in their head, like I said, my son is not the mouthy part like Carry On. But when he
Mm.
gets set off, and it takes a while, it could be
He's
two,
on.
three
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah, and they keep on, keep on, keep on. Then once they go, they can't stop.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna have an episode in there, especially if he's not on his medicine. And what
He
happened
already,
is,
he already is.
yeah, and what happened is by them not really because it's horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you, because his charges out here in Texas could be gone, but because they're open, close, open, close, open, close, it could be a warrant.
Mm.
They could have put it in warrant
Have you
status.
heard anything about what the charges are in Texas? Because
I
somebody was alluding to possibly drugs, but I haven't verified that.
It's a possibility, and it had to be like at the time
Hmm.
that they hadn't legalized marijuana out here because it's medicinal. You only can get it from the doctor to have it. So they
Yeah.
hadn't even released all these people, even though it became legal out here in Texas. All them people that they gave hardcore sentence to for an ounce or a gram or whatever they call it, because I don't know
Hmm.
what they call it. And then
Hmm.
what my son told his doctor was, listen, the medicine y'all got me on, I can't focus, I can't concentrate or anything. When I smoke the weed, it keeps me calm. He don't lash out. He don't. So his doctor wrote a note, and this for it was legalized for him to do that, and I had
Hmm.
no problems. And so now, like I said, it was like somebody who got murdered, but I'm quite sure. And if it was fines or anything like that, they just now open back up, and he gonna they all and if his people paid for that, if they have a receipt, they're gonna have to show it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to show
Yeah.
it, because I don't know what part of Texas he in, but I know
Yeah.
that's how it is in Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah.
Because, like I
I know
said,
his auntie
my
is there. His auntie is there, and she just got sentenced to 30 years in a Texas state prison.
let me tell you something. Out here, they hate us.
Yeah. I've
BLC
heard a lot about
paid.
our criminal justice
Oh
system.
yeah, it's hard, and especially the males have to go in front of this white judge, and however much money he flipped, that's how much time he give you. My ex-husband son, first time offender, he was just with someone. He just got out, went in at 18 and just got out at 35, just by
Mm.
being an accessory to nothing. He didn't do anything, but he was
See?
there, first time offender.
But that's what I'm talking. That's nuts.
Yeah,
Who are
yeah,
y'all?
they don't.
Who are y'all voting for out there? Like, who is like what? Is there conversations around all of this in Texas, and in terms of voters figuring out who the hell they
It
need to
do.
vote out of office and into
It's
office instead?
It is, and it's about that money. It's
Mm.
about money, and it's about, like, we got Judge Cena as our chef out here. Well, everything she
Mm-hmm.
promised has not been fulfilled because the white man said. See what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and they make sure they send uh our young black men, all our black men, to this one white judge.
Yeah.
There's one white George, and he lets you know, I don't like black people,
Mm.
and it's even
Jesus,
harder on women out here.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's even harder on women out here. Not only just out here at in it, because all we got out here is just plants and hospitals. And
Yeah.
when I tell you, I literally had to fight at the plant because I'm not laying with nobody or none of that. But the judicial system is just horrible out here, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't try to rehabilitate. It's always about funds being missing. It's just all kind of
Shit.
and
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. It's when I get ready, because I'm still receiving my paycheck. So when I get ready, see, we like 3.5 years back on the docket. So
Mm-hmm.
even if they do expedite him back out here, he could be still sitting on that charge for 3.5, 4 years, because they hadn't got to those cases.
Yeah. But someone, I think it was A. Yah said that Larry said that the grandmother took care of it. I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess I'll inquire to Larry about what does it mean that the grandmother took care of whatever's going on
Right.
in charge. I don't know whether he had some funds that needed to be. I don't know what the situation. I don't know how the grandma would take care of it, but
Correct.
I'll figure that out.
It,
I wanted to ask you a
yeah.
question because I gotta,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, I gotta wrap up the show, and I want to get
Sure,
Big Man
sure,
here too, boo. But I want to say to you, Miss
sure.
Adams, are you like, do you have a support system outside of your children? Are you in any type of counseling as it relates to a lot of the
I went
things that you experience?
I went to 39 counselors, okay? And I asked each one of them because we have more male counselors. So I say, well, I can't. I had one woman counselor, and they took her
Mm-hmm,
away who had been through this. And so
mm-hmm,
now I'm trying to get myself back in school because I feel like we need women counselors. We need men and women counselors who has been through this sexual abuse, because those who have not, they can only tell us what they learned out of school,
in a book.
like a story.
Yeah,
And I don't need you to tell. I need you to be able to relate to me, feel to me, your
experience.
opinion, this and that. Right.
Mm,
And what I do, I don't let minds break me down. What I do is I take minds and I speak to young girls, young children, and you'd be surprised how many I find out is going through this
absolutely.
exact same thing. And I was like, wow, only if I had that
Mm,
degree instead of the process operator degree, you know? And I just do it for free. And I was surprised how many, and I wasn't expecting it. You know, I
yeah,
was just speaking, you talking to your mom like that, you disrespecting your mother like that. Well, let me give you a little bit of my life story,
mm,
in a nice way, because I'm nice and everybody, you know. And
yeah,
then when I look, these children being opened up to their parent come back crying. I did
mm,
not know this was happening to my child, faulting themselves. See, I never let my children go anywhere. Your company can come here. They have their own bed, you have yours. I'll be checking, but you cannot go spend the night. My children didn't get out until they all graduated at 17 because of the way their birthdays fell, and
mm-hmm,
they didn't get out the house until then.
yeah,
You know, I made sure I kept them busy in activities. My children didn't run the street, so that's why it was a shocker for me because my oldest one was very very smart. He speak exactly like you speak. Shocked the heck out of me because he's so quiet. And
mm,
we always joke in our
mm,
house. We made you mad by joking if you did something
yeah,
crazy, And I always kept my children a dictionary. I always kept them into books, and I always kept them into stuff they need to know about the real world. What's gonna happen to you when you get grown, and about your money, the finances, and all that. Along with, I allowed it to be fun, and I'm doing that with my 4-year-old grandbaby too, because he pronouncing some words I ain't never heard in my life before. I had to tell him now.
young, babe. Yeah,
I
like
say,
generation coming up. They
yeah,
coming in already with it. They coming
oh
in
yeah.
gifted. They coming
I
in with a
told,
strong sense of self. They coming in. They can pick this stuff up like it ain't nothing.
yeah.
They be
I
teaching
told,
you about
uh
shit
huh.
going on.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I told him you gonna have to now. You could say that big word, but that don't impress me. You gonna have to know how to spell it, what it
Yeah,
means,
that part too.
and that's how I taught
Yeah,
myself, and that's how I was able to educate myself because we didn't have that. It was either drop your
yeah.
ass out of school and go to work if you making F's.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were told. But like I said, I wasn't raised with neither side, brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
when everything came about. So it's like I'm alone. I'm my oldest on my mom and the baby on the pervert pedophile side, So and I
Well,
knew him 7.5
Miss
years.
Adams,
So
you are doing an exceptional job at
yeah.
navigating your life and giving your children a better experience than even you had, and taking your life experience and making it testimonial and using it as a way to empower other young women.
And
Um,
it helps me. It also
and
helps
for you,
me.
it's self therapeutic too, yeah. But you
Yeah.
you are doing a great, great, great work. And I want
Thank
you to
you.
continue to tell your story and continue to share, because as you said, so many people need this. And that's why I was saying too, like,
Yeah.
all of us really aren't, the things that we don't have in common are more far few and in between than the things that we actually do have in common. Most human beings
Right.
are more alike than anything
Right.
else. Most of us have been
Exactly.
through all of this stuff in one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So finding those commonalities, holding on to those experiences, realizing that we're all just a
Yeah.
squirrel trying to get a nut. That nut is a peace of mind. That nut is
That's it.
happiness. It's a self. Um, and we're all just here to be and to
Yeah. Yeah.
exist and to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this experience. So I want to thank
And
you
I
for
tell
coming
you
up.
what,
Hmm.
and I put in my head, this is also how I get through it, unless I have a bad nightmare. And like I said, I'm 47 now. Unless I have a bad nightmare. And what I put in my head was, it's somebody else going through something way worse than me. And I do that with my job, my living situation, everything. And that's how I made it. And I
Yes.
thank y'all so much for having
Well,
me.
thank you. Thank you for coming up and sharing. So, stay in contact with me. My
I
email is
will.
conscioustv@gmail. Just continue to reach out. Let me know if you need anything.
Oh,
And please continue
sure.
to hit the StreamYard link and
Okay.
come in with
I
your
just
power
learned,
and
so
your
I was
truth.
surprised. Thank you. And I sure will, because I really want you
Yes,
to have my story. Because
yes.
you think like I think, I just can't. I can articulate it, but I
Mhm.
love the way you do it.
Oh, well,
I love the
thank
way you do
you.
it.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.
Reach out to me, love. And I appreciate you for
Okay,
being
thank
here
you.
tonight.
Oh, no
God bless.
problem. Bless you too, babe. Bye bye.
That was Miss Adams. You guys signing off. Send Miss Adams some light and love, baby. People have been through it all in this world, and despite all that they've been through, bent but not broken. Not broken. Big Randy, welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much. You know, Katrina, Miss Katrina, the Adams. She's spoken to my soul.
Mm,
She's a survivor, and she saw her way out. And
mm,
I just admire her. You know, she said everything I pretty much wanted to say. So I'm just gonna be up here for a hot minute because Miss Adams said everything I need to say.
yeah,
And God bless you, my sister. And
yeah,
as a wounded person who is making their way back into the embrace of her African people, of his African and her African people, because I'm both. I'm male and female. I'm yin and yang. And I'm making my way back home. So what I do is shut the hell up and I listen to the testimonies of the Mrs. Adams and of the Mrs. Oz and Bishop Oz and other people in your testimony, Conscious and Knockout and Elder Jibes and Dr. Larry Weed. I listen to your conscious awareness of where you're at in life. And we have to see past ourselves. We have to realize that we as a black nation is suffering, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world, because we have this discombobulated, I guess, view of each other. We see each other almost as an enemy.
mm,
No other ethnic group sees each other like that. When white folks want to come together, they'll put down all their differences and come together. When Asians want to come together, they'll do the same. When
mm,
Latinos want to come together, they'll do the same. There's something that's affecting the souls of black people because we're close to God, just like any other ethnic group. But we have to realize that within ourselves. We have to see our own self value.
yeah, yeah,
Just like Mrs. Adam saw her own self value and she stood up for not only herself but her children, we have to do the same thing. We have to all become a Mrs. Adams. Stand up and bone up for who we are as black people because we are losing ourselves. How is it to the point that somebody can get us to slap each other on a stage in front of 50 million people. No other ethnic group would have done that. But
Well,
we was sold a bill of goods because they told that man, oh, it's just a joke. And he thought it was a joke because Chris Rock probably thought it was a joke. He's a comedian. So is Will Smith. They're comedians. But however, the one who lost out was Jada Smith. How the hell are you going to make fun of a black woman? How the hell are those devils going to drive two black men to make fun of a black woman to whom one of them is married to for over 20 years? Alopecia is no joke. I have a loved one who deals with that. It affects her every day. As a woman, alopecia is no joke, especially for black women. It's no joke. And for someone to want to make a joke out of it, I don't care if they was all in cahoots with the creators of this show. I don't know how it went. I don't own the TV. I don't watch any of that shit. It just showed up in my thread. So I feel like I need to say something about it because both of those men are black like me. And they're representing me. And you know what? The Oscars, I don't blame them if they say no more nigger men on this stage. No more niggas, period.
Big Randy, I'm sorry. I have to interject.
It hurts. It hurts.
Can you hear me, Big Randy? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
I want to make sure that black
Hi,
people,
sweetheart.
Black
Hey,
people,
honey.
Hey, sweetie. One of my favorites. I'm going to go on.
Black people are, first of all, I mean, I don't feel like niggas should have been at a mayonnaise award ceremony to begin with, but that's a whole nother thing. However, we have to keep in mind that black people are a product of trauma induced by them, by races of people that are actually nefarious and evil. So,
but why do the Africans act the same?
Big Randy,
they worse.
Let me get my thought all the way out. And I can't speak for globally, but I know as in the West, niggas ain't worse than mayonnaise people. Niggas ain't responsible for 300 plus years of slavery and Jim Crowism and lynching and ain't had no authority to make the United States oppressive and to weaponize religious systems, etc. Those are your mayonnaise counterparts who did all of this fucked up shit here and created this infrastructure that minority people are living up under. So even though we forget that, because modern day contemporary mayonnaise folk have the luxury of sitting high and crossing their feet and eating their popcorn and benefiting from the damn system that they have created themselves to benefit from, and the rest of us are down here squalling like damn roaches. Let's not ever get it twisted why white people are able to sit pretty. They created the system in a way so that they can sit pretty and have the rest of us acting traumatized and fucked up and reactionary. So, nigga, I don't care how bad niggas can get and be and how much niggas can draw up. Baby, they will never be worse than the actual group of people who conspired to do this to other groups of people in the world.
But when do we say the fuck shit stops with me? Well, I stopped that mess with myself. I could have went on to abuse my children the way I was whipped and abused and used for 17 years of my life as a slave, but it stopped with me. I didn't have the education to know that I was fucked up in the head.
Hold on, Big Rain. Hold on. Y'all can say both, but I don't know why y'all think y'all always have to inspire black people by trying to compare them against other groups of people that are actually responsible for heinous and inhumane global crimes. So,
but sometimes we just have to claim our own shit and keep it pushing.
But what I'm saying is that you could do all of that. I don't know why some of y'all like to use other races of people as a comparison. Like it's not really a comparison because it's a lot of other groups who ain't really in the unique position that melanated people are even in to begin with.
Okay, so let's fuck all that. Let's fuck all that shit. What about black people? Now, I'm a black person. I don't care if my mama is Scottish, Irish. So what? My mama's a Peckerwood. Who cares? Okay, I as a transgender person, if I was to live in Southside Chicago, my life would be shortened because I as a transgender person, I am seen as a threat by black males. Ain't no white cop came after me as a trans man. Ain't no white woman came after me as a trans man. The fuck shit I dealt with was from my own people. The only time I encountered a cop was one time in my life when I was profiled in Oakland. That was the only negative experience I had with the police. Other times it's been positive because in my job, I have to work with the police every damn day, damn near. So I have to be on one accord with them. So I get along with them. Some of them are assholes, I avoid them. The ones who I get along with, I'm cool with. But here's the thing. Nobody owes me any self-respect but myself. And as for earning your all's respect, I have to earn that. And I have to walk through this world with character and with integrity, regardless of how the world treats me. If they spit on me, they cuss me out, I have to keep my eyes on the prize, and that's making my way back to my creator and doing right by all that the creator creates. Because if I dog any of you out, I'm dogging out God. So if I mistreat you, I have to answer to God for it. So I think twice before I say anything negative to anybody, white, black, blue, purple, polka dot. Because you know what? Karma remembers all our names and all our addresses. And I try to be respectful because you know what? I spent the first 50 something years of my life as a female. And I paid my dues. And I think every man should have to spend the first 33 years of his life as a woman before his balls even drop. I'm out of here.
Okay. I can't do a conversation about race. It's too triggering. I know some of y'all are really, really, really into this idea that black people are just the worst, most fucked up people in the entire world. And
I don't see us as that. We just buy into that shit.
I've said some of y'all think that. Okay, if the shoe don't fit Big Randy, then you ain't one of those people. But some of y'all just love that. I get it, but this is the best way I can explain black people in America. Black people in America are like the narcissistically abused children of narcissistic parents. White supremacy would be those narcissistic parents. And those narcissistic parents have triangulated and abused and manipulated in a way that now the children are against each other, which benefits the narcissistic parents who wanted that isolated control and personal worship and wanted that division amongst the clan. So yes, black people fight each other and kill each other, but that's also statistically true for every ethnic group in this country. White people statistically kill, harm, rob, beat, steal, and destroy each other. Black people, so on and so on and so on and so on. But I just don't want y'all to forget who the real enemy is. There's no negating the fact that the crabs are in the barrel and it goes down in the barrel because crabs don't belong in a barrel. But
the first ones who sold us into slavery.
But the barrel is white supremacy. Don't forget who created the goddamn obstacles and spikes and the ditches and the holes and all of the other obstacles that exist that make life a living hell for black Americans. Like, just never forget that. Yeah, niggas won't fight with each other because niggas having to fight, but not having to fight because they inherently are fighters, are self-sabotagers, but the design of the system has just pitted motherfuckers up against each other. And some people actually believe that, and some people are preying on one another. Not because it's about one another, but because of our lack, and we have proximity to each other. We're going to exploit and abuse and use each other as a stepping stone to get the fuck out, even if it's at other people's expense. But once again, I don't want to talk about this no more. I don't give a fuck about a race conversation right now. I just want to make mention that pale supremacy is the author of the confusion here in the West.
Okay, I'm all good.
Okay. Heart of Inspiration, thank you for joining us tonight, boo. Welcome. for
Hey,
I mean
thank you.
thank you for being here. What it's been 2.5, it felt like I've been here longer than 2.5 hours, but
It's been a
what are you
long night.
been a
It's been a
long
long night. And I wasn't going to click the link, but I finally got my other work done too. I've been
Amen.
listening. I want to say to you, thank you again tonight for
Mhm.
bringing the father energy in, the masculine energy in. Because as a mother
Mm.
for the young man in question, and I call him a young man because he's about a year or two older than my oldest child, so he could be my son.
Mhm.
It's hard for me as a mother, you know what I'm saying? No matter what's gone on, to sit here, to, you know what I'm saying, to have that same, I get it. I understand both sides of this where, um where where Kirk Franklin would be like, I'm not messing with you no more.
Mm.
And where Carrion is like, but you're not hearing me. But you did these things. And I I think that I think that we have to look at Carrion as a man who something definitely did happen to him. Something happened to him. I don't think you can, for me, in all the interviews or all the things that I've seen in the IG lives and whatnot, there's some, and as someone that deals with people with these issues, there's something there, whether or not it was his father or whether or not it was father's friends, there's something there that has never been healed. And you brought up an excellent point. At what point do we then take responsibility for our healing? At what point do we do that? And that's always the hardest thing when someone has been so severely traumatized or they have mental health issues, right? That's what I deal with a lot with people is, are you finally ready to get out of, pardon me, your shit? Because I can't sit in your shit with you, right? I can give you a lifeline and I can guide you, but I can't sit in there with you. Otherwise, we both sitting in shit. And it ain't gonna help neither one of us. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very hard place for this man to be in this moment. I'm very torn though, whether, I'm torn. On the one hand, it's like, okay, I get it. I get what he said. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But at what point do you as a father then, regardless, not reach out and help your son?
Mm.
It's hard for me. Conscious. I ain't gonna,
Mother, it's hard. It's hard by design. Some things are definitely harder for masculinity than it is for femininity. Maybe in these circumstances, masculinity strive because masculinity can divorce the emotional body in a way that allows
Yeah.
them to only rely upon the information and what needs to be done rather than how one feels about what needs to be done. Women
Yeah.
worry about the feeling about about what's happening, and men's job is to kind of like execute what needs to happen. And
Right.
I can see, because to be Rainey's point, as a same gender two-spirited man, my masculine and feminine is there, so I can tap into that nurturing, compassionate,
Yeah.
empathetic, woe is me, oh, I completely understand and focus upon the circumstances and variables. And then there's a part of me that like, get the fuck up. Get the fuck up. Stand all the way up now. Now, we done cried it out. We done bled it out. We done dwelled. We done been toe up. We done been broken, baby. I done messed up my makeup crying with you. We done sat here in the belly of the well for 30 days. We done mowed over it. Done went to the cross. Done went to the hill on Calvary. We seen the massacre. We done laid out in the misery of it all. Now you gon' stand the fuck up.
Yes, but am I going to leave him to try to do this and fight the mayonnaise court? I think that's where Like I have zero issue with, dude, you're going to have to, like, you going down this drug route, this route, that route. You got all these things happening here. I cannot, I can't be with you and co-sign and be a, what do you call it when you're helping, an enabler, if this is what you're doing, right? In drugs and whatever else. That I'm all 150%. As hard as it is, I would do that. Right. I kicked my 17-year-old son out the house when he was 17, and he was running around smoking weed, thinking he was real, whatever. But he would get super disrespectful when he smoked weed. And I was like, you're not going to do that in my house. Not when I buy your toilet paper and put clothes on your back and put food in your belly. Okay? You're not fixing to do it. Mm-hmm. So I get where you have to do the tough love at that point. But at this point, I don't know if I could leave him and allow him to go through a system that we already know is stacked against him. Because let's be honest, Kerrion Franklin is not Kirk Franklin. If it was Kirk Franklin dealing with this, then you have a Black celebrity. You have a tad bit of a different structure, but it's at least a little bit of more of a fighting chance. That he's not him. That I think that's where I have the disconnect is do you just leave him up to these people that we already know it's already stacked against him? I don't know.
I don't want to act like, I want to be careful with the narrative, because I don't want it to be like Kirk Franklin has put Kerrion in this position at all.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that. We're talking hypotheticals.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying that Kerrion is in the lion's den because he put himself in the lion's den. It's not Kirk throwing him to the lions or feeding him to the lions. He put himself in the lion's den. And to your point, I mean, like, we know how this goes, but I also just wonder, like, with that point, it's just like, when it's like, if it's time to be hands off, then that just may include, no matter what the circumstances are, it's just hands off.
I know, Mama's heart.
If you go get back on drugs again, it's hands off. If you go back to prostitution, it's hands off. If you go back to jail, it's hands off. It's just hands off. And my spiritual teacher really instilled this in me, that sometimes when we can't learn through testimony, we can't learn through wise counsel, we can't learn through other people's experiences. The absolute best teacher now has to be life experience itself. It has to be your circumstances that are going to happen at the master class. And
old folks say it, so ass is the best teacher.
Yeah, and that's why we have to love people enough to let them call in, like, to. So here, you know what's so funny about humans is we will watch a baby attempt to find their equilibrium through a process that we know is inclusive of falling.
Yeah.
And when we see a child working out their own equilibrium, and they're taking their fair share of tumbles and boo-boos, we don't rush in. We don't rush in to stop that, because we understand that the falling is a part of the learning of that equilibrium. And all that we're watching is these adults still needing equilibrium, and loving them enough to stand to the side of the court, oversee the events, be an observer now, no longer a participator, and now allow a person to work out their own emotional, mental, physical muscles, because anything less than that is me being a crutch to a fully able-bodied, able spiritual person. Anything less than that is me aiding and embedding and being a enabler in one way, shape, or form. And true confidence can only come about by putting a person in a position to see what they're made of, letting them rise to the occasion, not doing for you, not me rescuing you. And there's also certain convictions that we don't realize we're also saving people from by coming in and saving them from the experience that provides those deep
That's true.
revelations about self and life and awareness. And so I feel like it would make perfect sense for Kurt to be at that place where, because if y'all like, just go back and listen to the. I might should we play the audio? Matter of fact, let's pause.
Okay.
After the pause, then Big Rainy, I want you to shout out your channel, and I want Heart of Inspiration to follow up with shouting out where they can find you guys, and you guys to do some clout chasing right now. Let me go find.
Go on, Big Rainy.
It's my turn.
Go ahead, baby. Yes, sir.
I just have a little channel. It's called My Pa Rainey's Herbs. M as in money, A as in alpha, H as in happy, P as in Peter, A as in alpha, H as in happy, R as in rainy, A as in alpha, Y as in yellow, N as in Nancy, I as in India, S as in Sam, Herbs, HORBS at youtube.com. It's a small little channel. And I don't show up often, maybe once a month, once every 2 months to offer something. It's about wellness, how to get healthy and have a takeaway, such as dehydrating kale chips, how to get the best out of walking and being well. It's just simple wellness things that have kept me alive because I used to be bedridden. So I share a little bit about Dr. Savi's theories, as well as theories that apply to veganism or vegetarianism and wellness. Thank you.
I love that. I'm gonna have to go over there and check that out. You might need to make some more videos, sir.
I do need to, but I've been working. I work in security. Okay. So I deal with like TSA stuff, but we work at venues like concert venues. Mm-hmm. So I'm the first line of defense, and then I work in tandem with the police and K9 dogs and all that stuff. Because the work that I do is very high risk, but they don't pay us worth shit. But the reason why I do it is because I really enjoy the fans. Yeah. And I enjoy in getting free concerts. Medion, this is a new artist I fell in love with. Free concerts. I'm getting paid to participate in free concerts, okay? But I don't do rap concerts because I'll shoot a motherfucker. I ain't the one. Oh. And I don't even have a gun. I'll snatch somebody else's gun and shoot a fool. But thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Conscious, for allowing me to come up here. And thank you, Heart of Inspiration. I follow you. You have a new sub.
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless you. I'm out. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you to all the listeners and the mods. God bless you all. Thank you.
So you guys know me by now. I'm Heart of Inspiration. On YouTube at Heart of INSP, on Instagram, heartofinspiration.net. So yeah, we do a lot of like astrology, and we do some tarot. We talk a lot about the lunar cycles, but just other areas of spirituality too. We talk about empaths and narcissists. We talk about divine femininity, divine masculinity, conscious. At some point, we still got to talk about that Kevin Samuels because I'm still hot with him. Anyway, I ain't gonna let that go. So we talk about current events, kind of hot topics, and I bring it into that spirituality realm. So come hang out.
Mod, y'all, I know what to do. Repost those links to Big Rainy, please, and Heart of Inspiration, please. Big Rainy, can you also put your website? People are asking for your website, Big Rainy. So I wanted to play this audio in order so we can just like rehear Kurt. Yeah. Because I listened to this again and again and again and again and again. It's like I thought about the emotion and the level of frustration that Kurt clearly escalated to in all of what's been going on with his son, and I kept that in mind as I thought about where Kurt must be at this point in time. Mm-hmm. With everything that's happened and all the things that led up to this, and even the things that have gone on publicly between him and his son. So let's run this. I'm just play the audio. Now The volume is kind of low, you guys, so you have to listen carefully. And once again, this is the infamous audio of Kirk Franklin dragging the living shit out of Kerrion Franklin.
Okay, if you think I'm really good, but let me say it like this. When your bitch ass starts you need to get your any motherfucking ass back out the goddamn way. Before I put my foot in your ass. Okay, if you think I'm really good, but let me say it like this. When your bitch ass starts you need to get your any motherfucking ass back out the goddamn way. Before I put my foot in your ass. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you.
It's echoing, Conscious. It's echoing.
I don't know why it's echoing. Let me remove it from the stream. Can y'all still hear it? Can y'all still hear that? Can y'all still hear it?
I did it.
Yes, I can. Okay. Let me rewind this then a little bit.
I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. Shut the fuck up. I'm old. I did it.
Oh, I mean, you don't get there over misdemeanor issues. That's the end result of just absolute point of crisis in a relationship. People are at a point of crisis when it comes down to physical blows and kind of explicit verbal violence unto one another. And I don't think that type of frustration comes about without a natural need to preserve yourself. Like I can totally see why Kirk Franklin would be like, the best way for me to honor my son at this point is for me to not have anything to do with him, because I'm going to be the dad on the phone threatening to break his motherfucking neck because I can't. I'm going to be the fucking dad that he's going to be recording because I'm driving myself absolutely insane, driving myself up a fucking wall. It's just bringing out the worst in me. And loving someone else should never come at the expense of bringing out the worst in you. If that's the experience, it is time to kumbaya. Now, to your point, Hart, about, you know, him supplying maybe some legal aid, some financial aid, putting forth some money to do something. I don't know. Maybe because I've witnessed the power of tough love. I've actually like witnessed people execute tough love, and actually witnessed and bear witness to the redemptive quality in tough love. I've actually watched what happens sometimes where either people sink or swim when it comes to tough love. But what we know for sure is that even if they sunk under the guidance of tough love, the reality was they were sinking prior to tough love. It's just that other people got tired of saving people who were sinking.
Listen, I mean, I've been in the same position with my own children from time to time, with friends, with clients. I've been in the same position. My question, though, is, do we know, and maybe you know better than I do, how really involved was Kirk Franklin in Kerrion's life from a young age? You know, was there a father-son bond to even truly break? Or was this now what happens a lot of times when a man gets a new family and the previous child doesn't really get the same as the next family, not even close, and they're not really welcomed? Like, I don't know. I'm speaking from a place of pure ignorance. I have no idea.
Well, I'll say this. After the audios, Kerrion went to speak, Kurt went to speak, and Kerrion's mother also went to speak. They all told pretty much the same story, which was that, of course, Kurt was a career-driven man. So, of course, he was on the road and all that. But they all recount Kerrion being in Kurt's life.
Okay.
And being on the road with him, being on tour with him, being a part of, all the stuff that Kurt was trying to create, etc. But to your point, I think that's what the discrepancy is. Kurt, I can see from Kerrion's perspective how, even though he was with his father, he doesn't feel his father was present.
No.
Because you can be there and not be present.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was with you.
I ran their charts, right? While I was over here playing around. I ran the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Kurt's chart. Kurt is an Aquarius, and his Venus and his Sun are absolutely on top of each other conjunct. Which tells me that his version of love is going to be exactly what we're seeing. Very practical. He was going to be career driven always. That's what he had no other choice. And whereas that actually squares Kerrion's son. So they were never gonna, like, there was all their charts actually showed me, I'm like, these two people would really have to work hard to understand each other because they are coming from two completely different perspectives on life. There was always going to have to be a work in progress. So I could see where Kerrion would not think that spending this time with his father on the road or financial, whatever, he would not honor that. That wouldn't be of value to him. And then to your narcissistic entitlement point, he would probably rather have like things, or he would rather just be kind of doing something like throwing the football around with his dad, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted more of those kinds of things. Not that that's being a narcissist, rather than what Kurt values.
Yeah. So what's funny about you saying that is that in my previous commentary, because when all this stuff was happening last year, I was giving commentary, and I spoke about how Kurt and Kerrion seem to have two different love languages. And that's why the materiality doesn't mean a lot to Kerrion, because obviously, like, really just having his father's attention and affirmation and almost having his father play the nurturer is kind of what it seems he wanted. He wanted Kurt to be very emotionally available, wanted to be very hands-on in the cultivation of him, pay attention to who he was.
He wanted a deep relationship with him. And unfortunately for Kirk, his love language was actually what we've seen him be. Like, he was always going to be out here for the greater good, right? The Aquarian way, for the greater good, and showing that's how he displays love. It's not individualized. It's more like, I'm going to take the group of kids, let's just say, for example, I'm going to take all of y'all somewhere. It's not an individualized situation. But what also I saw in Kerrion's chart today that I didn't see, was it last night we were just together? Was that there is a need for, like, Kerrion actually does have this kind of subdued need to be on the stage as well. But from the way I can see it, he was always chasing after his father's shadow instead of coming alongside his father. But I'm going to stand 10 toes down to something happens to that young man. I'm not saying that his father did it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stand 10 toes down on something happened to him when he was a child.
I kind of feel bad for men in a way, because it's just like, like, patriarchy has made a lot of these men identify with just being a provider. That's why it's hard to get them to understand that, like, it's get them to understand the emotional side, because they're like, what are you talking about? Like, I kept the lights on, I kept the food on the table. Like, what do you mean? Like, I provided the bed. Like, I'm the reason you had structure. Like, what do you mean? And it's just like, yeah, Dad, but You didn't know who I was. You never,
Listen,
and I don't know who the
that's-
fuck you are outside of a provider. You never really gave me an intimate look into you, and you never seemed to have taken an intimate. It took an interest in getting to know me intimately. We're missing intimacy.
absolutely. Absolutely. But that's also, see, but that's European. That's a European attitude. A lot of us here, we consider ourselves Black. There's a good chunk of us that are actually indigenous, and we're just darker indigenous. But regardless if it was the melanated indigenous people here or from Africa, our cultures very different. Very, very different. And the much more of a balance of masculine and feminine, right? Energy, much more of these are the feminine strength, these are the masculine strength. One is not necessarily greater than the other, right? Each has its role. And so it was looked upon very differently. So we were forced into and have been forced into a cultural structure that is not indigenous, that's not ours by design. That's not in our DNA. And this is why we have such a this is why we have a big problem with it. Yes, men, provision and hunting and all of this protection, absolutely, totally get it. But that it didn't stop there, right? It doesn't stop there. When I watch my African friends that are married couple friends, their interaction and their marriage and their relationships and their families, it's so different. It's so different from ours, you know? So absolutely the mayonnaise, as you say, patriarchy has really, it's done a horrible thing to our men.
Let me ask you this question too, and I agree with what you said. I think that we have evolved and become modern enough to be able to kind of divorce some of these like barbaric, antiquated ways of looking at the gender role stuff, and some of the stuff is just outdated, doesn't work now in contemporary society. There's no reason now for men to just simply adhere to being the provider, and there's also no reason why a woman can also provide in the current scape of things. You know, like there's things we have to now refine the system and realize that now we can kind of into like a genderlessness where we need to just be both providers, and we both need to be really present emotionally. That our children need both of that from both parents. It's not just on the mother to be emotionally available, but the father needs to also be just as emotionally available. But so to that point, I was talking about Dr. King and how like a lot of Black women who were like the spinal cords to a lot of these like patriarchal figures and the Malcolm X's, how we never really have sat down in terms of how much you give up to be a part of a man who is given such a mission, and the massive undertaking of the Black woman who is behind that Black man and supporting that Black man and putting her family on the line as that Black man combats the evil in that world, and also has to share her man in a profound way with the community, maybe even accept that the community will have more of her husband than she even does, that she gets kind of what's left of him when he's done with the mission. And I think that Black women need to like go up in just as much lights for that, in terms of that's literally what being the spinal cord is. But I also started thinking like, well, damn, to be the child of a parent who has such a massive calling, who by way of their sole purpose in life, how does that work out in your eyes? Like, how does Kirk have to make a choice between having to become Kirk Franklin, or should he have chosen his son first and given up largely on
that's a big thing for me to say someone what he should have done. The last time we were together, I think I made a statement, or one time I've said that I always told up and coming preachers, ministers, prophets, apostles, Never sacrifice your family at the altar of the church. Never. There is a way. You even see the same thing, like for myself being a single parent. You know, I'd get the kids up, take them to the sitters. They go out to school. I'd go pick them up from the sitters, and pack up our dinner and take them back down to the downtown Chicago office because I still had more work to do. And so my kids and I, we were eating together, yes, and they were in my little conference room or whatever, and I'm working and they're there. Technically, was I spending time with them? No, I told myself I was, though. I mean, so for me as a parent, I was like, I'm doing the best that I can. And I felt guilty about that when they grew to be teenagers. And I did one of the unthinkable things for parents, right? Black parents. I apologized and, wanted to have a conversation about how they viewed their childhood because I didn't want them to do the same thing. Anyway, they told me, well, Mom, we appreciated the fact that you took us and you along with you and showed us what it was, what hard work, what a work ethic was, what, you really put your all into it, but you still made sure that we were with you, along with you for the ride. So I say that to say this. At some point, and the church does not do a good job of this, especially. We don't teach our ministers how to be both husband, father, and minister. Right? And that at some point, maybe you don't go on this many tour dates because you're missing every football game, every baseball game, every ballet, every whatever. You're missing everything in this child's life. At some point, you have to put your kids and definitely your spouse first because the money will be there. The fame will be there. So what price are you paying for the fame? Right? So, but I did also see in Kirk's background, I did not know this till today, that he was abandoned by his mother.
Yeah.
And
his father
he raised by his aunt. Yeah. Cutie one, I hear you. I guess I'm going to always, it's Heart of Inspiration because I'm always going to try to find the good. I'm the queen of the ultimate last chance. My Aunt Charlene, before she went on, said, if you tick Lisa off and she writes you off, you have done something because she just gives you every chance in the book. So
I want to say to QT's point though, it's interesting just how the ego even shows up in like in that way. That like you because I think a lot of times the idea that a lot of parents, maybe low energy parents probably think is like, I'm going to have my children forever, but I get one time to be famous. I get one shot at, because we also can give probably Kurt the luxury of understanding that his fame was also a route to financial solidarity so that he could provide for his children, could provide immensely for them that, because men, this is masculine's kind of like love language, is that provider thing. So they're going to go to the military. That may cost them time away from their spouse, from their children. But for them, they're thinking long term and the benefits and the insurances and the all those things they have family in mind as they also think about the opportunities. And so I don't want to negate the fact that Kurt just was absolved of love because he also participated in fame.
Absolutely.
Because that would have been a way for him to monetize things and to really leverage his family out of the ghettos and poverty and give them a great life and that's why Kerrion Havoc, when he goes to talk about his childhood, he can talk about being on the tour bus and all the famous people he met and all the wonderful things that he witnessed and saw and how he never had to really want for anything. Yeah, that's because of the choice your father made to be Kurt Franklin. That's why you didn't have to act and want for anything.
Absolutely. And this is, and especially knowing how Kirk grew up, right? He did not want his family, his children, to have to go through the same things that he went through and live the same way he did. That's every parent. I didn't want my kids to have to do the same things, right? I didn't want them to have to miss a Christmas ever like I did, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want that. So, yeah, we do a lot of things because we want our children to have a better life. And I think for those that are not quite at the same certain age that I am, I remember when Kirk Franklin was really exploding on the scene. This was an amazing time in gospel music in general. You had Kirk Franklin, you had the Winans, you had Mary Mary. All of a sudden, the gospel came into mainstream R&B and then mainstream period in some cases. But there had always been this really huge separation between gospel music was 3-part choir harmony. You know, that was it. The dip, the dap, the dat, that, you know what I'm saying? Like that was gospel music. And so for it to then turn into the Kirk Franklins of the world and the Mary Marys and all of this was a way different time from my grandfather's time, who was a contemporary and wrote music with Walter Hawkins. So, you know, it was different. And for the first time here, we got music videos and we have all these things, gospel music. So he was catapulted into a realm of fame that had never been seen before for the Black gospel artist. And I'm pretty sure none of them knew how. If you look at Mary Mary and all these other people, you know what I'm saying? BB and CC, all these people, they had some problems, right? Because they were catapulted into a level of fame nobody had ever. The only way a gospel artist would get to be famous were like the Arethas and the Whitneys and things like that, was they left the church. You couldn't sing that type of secular beat music, right? Or that R&B feel music or whatever, and be in the church. It couldn't be godly.
No.
So this was a big transition even within the music genre.
No.
So I don't want them to I don't want that to get lost in the sauce either.
Yeah. That's why I know that was a deep dive question, because it's clear to me that who Kirk Franklin is to us was a part of his calling. He came in to change Christian music. He came in to be a musician. That breaking that lane, opening those doors, setting that precedent was just as much a part of what his incarnation was supposed to be about. And then you have Father, you have all these other lanes, and then how does that all how do you handle all of that? Also, as a person who has no blueprint, because to be on Mars' point, in a recent interview, Kurt said that he was not prepared for his success. He had no guidance and no clue. And so, and I think that maybe that, so somebody asked another poignant question, which was, Tina says, when does a child accept fault and not blame the parent? When does Kerrion sit back and realize that even though I'm not as happy with with certain parts of my experience, and I feel like my father wasn't there, when do I recognize that my father was just a lost little boy himself? And maybe the mistakes he made were not as personal as the way that I'm interpreting them, and to give him some grace for being a human being. Like, my father had to figure it out like any other wandering soul in this flesh body has to figure it out. And you don't figure it out without your fair share of bumps and scrapes and bruises. Like, and when do we allow children, when do we say, hey,
yeah,
you know?
So yes, you do at some point realize that the choices you are now making are your choices and you are responsible for them. What typically, when I work with people, what typically ends up having to happen though, is you at some point have to forgive your parents for what they didn't know to do and that they didn't know better. When we see a Kerrion act like he's acting, he's still the child saying, you didn't do this, and this. And when I see a person like Kerrion, that's why I'm telling you, I've just seen it too many times now in my work. There's something that happened, and he felt very unprotected, even independent of everything else. There was some huge part of him that felt unprotected and was not protected at some point. I had to get to a point where I recognized that my life was on a toxic hamster wheel of bad relationships, poor choices, self-sabotage. I could have continued to blame my father and mother and their horrendous, toxic, violent relationship, right? But at some point I had to then say, you know what, you didn't know any better, Daddy. And I had to forgive him. And then I had to forgive myself. Now this is higher consciousness, esoteric stuff right now, right? I had to then forgive myself as an eternal being for being in that position. Because even as a child, you're still an eternal being. And so you know this isn't right. Okay. So the forgiveness of the parent is actually secondary to forgiveness of self. You forgive yourself, then you can begin to heal. Then you can begin to take responsibility, and then you can begin to take accountability, and then change your response to the different accounts when they come at you. You can change your response to the different energies once you realize that you are now perpetuating this. So there is a point he has to take responsibility. I think that sometimes we and I'm not saying that, Tina, that you're doing this, but sometimes I feel like we misconstrue and conflate the two issues. The issue of, did Kerrion do this to himself? Absolutely he did. Nobody else forced him to do this, right? Were there things that happened to him all along the way that programmed him that this was going to be his response? Yeah. So, but when do you decide you're going to, in your words, get up? You're going to get the hell up and you're going to change. And unfortunately, what I have found, and maybe it's different now, but what I have found in the church, they don't teach that enough. What I have found in the church and in how we apply religion is we put that power outside of ourselves and then expect God to fix it all. Instead of looking inward and starting at the process here and really possessing a Christ consciousness. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Now, you said earlier that if something happens to him, you sending 10 toes down. So I guess Kurt gonna have some problems if something happens to Kerrion from his heart of inspiration. There's gonna be some trouble in the waters.
Well, I'm saying that something happened to him as a child.
Oh, as a child. Okay, got it. So I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What did you make of the audio of Kerrion saying, "Why are you playing?" Do you think that was did you see it as directly about Kirk, or did you think maybe a producer on the track, a writer on the track?
No, I took it about Kirk. No, definitely, I took it about Kirk.
About Kirk.
Most definitely, but I don't think whatever age Kerrion would have the wherewithal in that moment. You from what I understand, everybody, was smoking a little something and whatnot. I don't think that he would have had the wherewithal to say, "Why are you playing that?" if it wasn't him directly. My only question is sometimes I run into situations. I have literally run into situations where people have come to me and said, such and such and so-and-so told me that, one of my parents did something to me, like they've maybe gone to a psychic or something like that. And I'm like, first of all, nobody should be telling you that a parent did something to you. So I'm concerned that it wasn't him, but maybe Kerrion felt like he should have known that this person did it. Maybe Kerrion told him that this person did this, and Kirk never did it because we're good on not doing anything about anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I thought he was talking about his father.
I wonder. See, and like it's a whole rabbit hole because it's like, well, what does justice look like to a young person who says so and so touched me? If your parent remedies that by then cussing that person out and removing that person from the space, is that justice to you? Do you want to see them dead? Do you want? I don't know like what because we all know as Black people we don't largely report sexual assault, especially and we definitely underplay molestation. We typically
Absolutely.
don't really penalize molesters, maybe RAPISTs, but more so molesters we really don't. And I just don't know, like, was there any I don't know how Kurt would have appeased Kerrion, even if Kurt took the approach of my son told me this, and then I went and like questioned this person, and they denied it, but I believed my child, and I fired this person, or separated this person from my circle so that my child did not even have to ever even interact or be connected or see this person ever again. And that was his way of like of trying to control the circumstances or trying to limit the situation.
Is it fair to the child conscious to make the child determine what justice should be for an adult?
What I'm actually asking from the child's perspective is like, does Kerrion understand that like what I don't, because like you said, we don't know if something was done, was not done, and if it was done, then what exactly was done if something was done. But I guess like I'm trying to like be the person who gets violated as a child and understand that like I don't even know what would have satisfied me.
What typically satisfies children in those situations is that they're at least believed. At
so
least
what Kurt in fact did. But now that Kerrion is older, Kerrion is like, no, more should have happened to this person. Yeah, you believe me and you let this person go and you fired them and whatever, and I never saw them again. But what if now the contention is, well, I'm going to blame you for the fact that it happened, period. Like, I don't even care if you did, like, cuss them out, kick their ass. Like, this should have never happened, and you didn't protect me.
What I typically find when I'm dealing with adults that have suffered molestation as children is that if their parent or whomever, their caretaker, believed them, took whatever appropriate action, even if the person themselves didn't get like thrown in jail or whatever, the fact that their parent or caretaker believed them as an adult still was more than enough. They did not blame the parent. I only find that the parent gets blamed when either the child has said something and they were not believed and called fast or said, "What did you do?" or da 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 da. They openly took the abuser's side, or it was just kind of thrown under the rug, right? When the parent believes the child, then I don't find that it carries over as harshly in adult life. I mean, there's still stuff to deal with.
So you believe then from your experience that it's probably that Kurt didn't believe.
I think something happened, and yes, Kerrion was not believed.
Kerrion wasn't believed. Now, oh God, this is just a lot. Because now I'm thinking now too. Damn, like I wonder if it was a situation where the person, if Kurt wasn't a perpetrator and somebody else was in Kurt's camp, if the person in Kurt's camp was a valuable asset to Kurt's career, and Kurt didn't want to believe it because he knew if he chose to believe it, he would have had to do something that would have disrupted his success, which ultimately is even worse because it really means that he chose red pill or blue pill. I think he chose to make
the blue pill. The red pill is the good pill. The blue pill, you're staying underneath the water.
And that is a massive scar. But it's a massive scar to be unbelieved. Period. Like
yes.
But see, but so wait. So do you think Kerrion owed it to the public to clarify. Like, even though he wasn't responsible for leaking the audios did go up. We did hear it. There was no conversation about it. Do you feel like
if Kerrion wanted to salvage, yes, I do think so, because he was in positions, whatever. I think he did owe that to him. Now I'm gonna throw another monkey wrench, another conspiracy theory into this. I think it's kind of, you mentioned this earlier, but I'm gonna bring it back around. I think it's kind of odd that people keep being unalive around him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that boy, the young man that leaked the audio, how they say he passed. I just think it's awful funny. People get unalive, or they get hurt, or, you know what I'm saying? So it gets to be a little bit too coincidental for me. I'm just saying it's odd. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the boy did not. I'm just saying it's odd. Okay. And I'm still wondering, like, from what am I hearing, right, that this vehicle, this woman gave him this vehicle before she was missing?
Well, sold it to him, I think. Her and her husband sold.
Oh, so why we can't? Wait a minute. Was it one of them sales where we didn't change the title on the car? You know how we do.
Well, he claimed that the registration and everything was correct. He said, all the paperwork, the registration is good. Everything.
Even I don't even understand why they're even questioning him on that.
Unless it's just that they literally had so little leak that they just had to ask them, as someone who had been in a relationship to her or had been in some type of association to her, like what do you know about, or what happened, or whatever. Because if they were definitely to find any type of a lead on the situation, then they probably, it is normal to investigate the people around the person, neighbors, friend of the family, like co-workers, like if it's but even their reach, they'll start reaching for it.
Yeah, but my question would be, like, I get that. But okay, how long after the vehicle was sold, did she come up missing?
It seemed like it would be within the same time frame, because Kerrion was just talking about that tail light just like 2.5 weeks ago. So I don't know whether this is a new car he got his hands on that he's been sporting around, and that's maybe why they're tying him up into this, because all this kind of happened within the same little short time space, this transaction or whatnot. It's a lot of unanswered questions. And to Larry's point, Kerrion isn't coughing up any answers. He won't.
Well, and he can't. And he definitely can't cough up any answers over a recorded phone line.
But Larry is also just talking about on a personal level. Kerrion is not also just willing to speak to certain things and answer certain things and divulge certain questions.
That's a typical Taurus. Tauruses don't talk. You know that.
They don't.
You know they don't. It's like pulling teeth. You gotta use the right combination to that combination lock to get them to start talking. And you miss one of them numbers, it ain't opening. You can forget about it. You can hang that one up. I just feel this is odd to me. This is really odd to me. I don't understand. And why would they plant? Why? See, some of this story doesn't like. Now, see, this is where the other side of me comes out. Okay. The hard side of me says, get the boy a good lawyer, because the other side of me says, your little story ain't adding up over here. Okay. Why would they plant multiple guns? Why? Who are you? Are you some big drug kingpin out there or something? You part of cartel? What?
But that's to my point. If because the DA sets people up. I mean, Chicago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I'm saying, If they were really lacking on solving some crimes and they ain't been getting no leads on this woman, maybe these goofy deputies was just like, look, we're gonna make somebody the suspect. We're gonna make, because we need to win out here. Like we gotta start solving some crime around here, even if we gotta fabricate the situation. And there's plenty of historical receipts for cops planting drugs on people, planting pills on people, planting people's cars. We've seen the body cam footage of literally cops in the act of sabotaging an individual. So it could be real, but is that the case? Is the question, because it's possible. But
so we don't have a list of charges, right, until he goes before the magistrate or whatever they call him tomorrow morning. Well, we don't know what we need to know then. I need to see. Thank y'all about my Miss Gemini. She's like, Ma, is you staying up all night again tonight? You know we supposed to be going to bed.
And he also stated in that interview that the cops took his phone amidst him recording them during the whole ordeal, that his phone was taken from him. They wouldn't even allow him to record. That's what he's claiming. And Larry says he doesn't know Kerrion to be a liar. Maybe won't disclose, but not necessarily a liar.
I can see that.
Information and a liar are two different things.
No, I could totally see that. I mean, how many times have they gotten caught up because somebody had their video, their camera out, but they're gonna have to give up that body cam footage. We'll know tomorrow what he got charged with. I mean, to hear him talk about it, they're trying to say that he was riding around with a whole case of weaponry, ready to start a whole war, which doesn't seem to fit his persona. That doesn't seem to be him. I don't know.
But they overcharge out here in Cali just to hold you, and they will drop or charge you with something fake to fake a case.
They do that here too. They do that in Chicago. They do that here in Wisconsin. They do that all. I mean, that's their move. That's their move. They'll overcharge you. By the time they're gonna see how much they can shake you up, and then by the time it gets down to it, they'll try to figure out something that's gonna stick. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm coming back tomorrow to report on the new docket, since that docket going to be updated after that court. So
absolutely.
We'll
see. You say so. I want to know what he's charged with in Texas.
Yeah. Now somebody said that his grandma took care of it. I don't know what that means, but I'll find out more information on that too. So
on the Texas thing,
yes. I'm like, how can a grandma take care of it? But that's what somebody said. So I don't even know what that meant. Like, they didn't really expound upon it. They were just like, oh, Larry said that. They said that Larry said that the grandma took care of it. I don't recall Larry saying that, but maybe he did. But I still don't even know what that means. So I'll gather more information.
Right, because I don't know what Texas. I mean, now, granted, Texas could be a petty state and could be like, oh, you coming because you got a weed ticket like 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could be that petty, wanting extradition for that. And if it was something petty, maybe grandma paid whatever fine it was, and they no longer want the body.
But I'm like, y'all want to extradite someone back to Texas over a fine that needs to be paid? Is that the way it really works?
Well, let me tell you something.
That's a lot to go through.
They're probably not going to extradite somebody if the charges that they have there and the case they can make there is stronger. Which is why, certain R&B singer went out to New York for that trial before standing trial in Chicago, because that trumped it. That was a bigger case. And then you come back and do your lessers. So, see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm like,
So they would. So Texas is petty. Texas is like, oh no, send him back over here. Also, though, if he had a warrant for his arrest, a body warrant, right? They'll, no matter where you're at, if you're picked up, they're not going to bond you out because you have a body warrant in another state. You don't always necessarily know, depending upon the state to state reciprocity rules, agreements, what that was in Texas. So if it was only a fine, took care of one, but he has a bond, the grandparents are trying to see what needs to be done. Okay. So he may not ever even have to go back to Texas, because if they can clear that up and that's all that it was, that's why he wasn't worried about it, because it was just a few $100s in a bond. Who cares?
So why not pay then? Like, why not?
Listen, I agree with you. Take care of your business.
Yeah. We as people gotta stop doing that. Stop leaving debt, especially to the criminal justice system. You don't know when your ass gonna get pulled over. Like, it's just like, come on now. Like, y'all know anytime you come in contact with the police, you lose no damn debt in the criminal justice system.
I am with you. I am with you.
When it ain't a few measly $100, that's all it took to just make sure that wasn't gonna be whatever. Like, the fuck. That's what
I'm with you. Like, I tell my kids this all the time, especially my son, because you know he's been incarcerated twice. Look, you get a ticket somewhere, you better pay that ticket immediately, well before the due date. You know, don't leave anything up to chance. You know, I even still to this day at 53 years old, I still, before I get in my vehicle at night, I still turn my lights on. Yes, please pay your tickets.
Period. Don't get Carrion on here, honey.
Let's get her Cash App so we can send her.
Get it together, Ty. Look, y'all about to make me go into the damn system, make sure my shit good. Like, make sure everything's cleared and paid up, baby. Because the Carrion shit got motherfucker on edge. Like, what? Like, this is too much. It's too much.
Listen, check your lights before you leave the house, please. I do that still now to this day. I got in that habit a long time ago when I lived in Chicago. I'm like, I'm not going to give y'all no reason to pull me over. Now, not a one. I still to this day, I check my headlights, my tail lights before I pull out of my driveway.
And should, for sure.
And if one of them ain't working, I'm just at home. I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to catch y'all tomorrow because I got to get my tail to the auto zone so I could get me a light. Okay? Because we're not going to do it.
And Kerrion was to pass his ass at Auto Parts and Auto Zone like 2.5 weeks ago for that tail light, and then not following through. He's inconsistent in his own business. You leaving delinquent bills in the criminal justice system. He literally was on the phone saying, I can't do that because I gotta go get my tail light fixed. Clearly that never happened. So it's just like, can't like, you gotta grow up, my nigga. Like, you gotta come on. Like he just living from his ego. Like, he just living for the glitz and the money and the look of it all, but not handling your actual man business. Like, handle your man business.
He's living fast, and that's the thing. He's living fast so he doesn't have to deal with the pain.
Yeah.
So, there you have it. Well, we've solved the world's problems once again tonight.
This is an ongoing drama, honey. I'm gonna be right back with it tomorrow. Well, Kerrion is in court tomorrow, you guys. So when the docket is updated, we'll be reporting on what that looked like. And you know, do you think that Kerrion kind of being so private and so secret, and only like he only says enough to get shit started, but don't give you enough to actually put nothing together? Do you think he's even going to be very vocal about all this stuff around this woman, because I feel like he's going to let all this play out in the public and then say really hardly nothing. Because even in that interview today, I mean, he hardly just, I mean, we didn't, I mean, it didn't give really, I mean, I don't know, it was still pretty vague. And just like, because Larry had initially reported that he got put up for a tail light, but when Larry asked him about it today, he even kind of had he went into this whole thing about an engine, and I'm just like, okay, did you get put up for a tail light? What did they tell you, my nigga? Like, he just went into this whole other thing that had nothing to do with what happened at the moment you were pulled over. What the fuck? What did the cops say to you? What did they say? What did they tell you to get out of the car for? What did he say to you at the window? Sir, I'm putting over you for what? He went into this whole other spiel about, I was supposed to, get the engine and the hood. And it's just like, and it made people feel weird. People literally called into Larry Strong, was like, what type of, he took a unnecessary, he really didn't answer the question. He ran all around it. And so I'm
gonna have to listen to it, but that sounds to me like somebody that's off of his medications, darling.
Yeah, well, he does say that he's gonna need the medical attention and he ain't getting it. So I don't know whether that's fucking with his cognition. And
that sounds like somebody that incoherence sounds like somebody, if he's typically coherent to at least a better degree, and if he has mental health issues that he's medicated for, that sounds like somebody that's been without his meds for a few days.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have clarity of thought.
But that's what he testified to. Well, he needs to be careful then with speaking. He's not on his meds, so we don't need him to say anything that could be used against him in the court of law.
Let me tell you something. That people might have mental health issues, but that don't mean they're crazy. Okay. And what I mean by that is he gonna keep his mouth shut. He not finna say nothing stupid in there. He's trying to get her out of there.
I hope he does, because I don't know. Let me ask you one more question before we wrap tonight. With his mental illness, how much of that could be at play in what Kerrion? Because I know you do believe that's something that's happened to him. Could it be that whatever his mental illnesses are, because we don't know whether he's been properly diagnosed, whether he's underdiagnosed, partially diagnosed, but could mental illness be responsible for why he thinks certain things have happened to him? Have you seen that in your experience, that mental illness amplifies your perception of reality? Depending on, of course it does, depending on what the mental illness is, but how much of that could be at work and him feeling abused and feeling assaulted and interpreting whatever that way? Is he, because I wonder when he goes to see those things, are those the times where he's actually mentally ill, and in his sober self that doesn't sit, like, I would just love to, I don't know enough about his dynamics. I need to know Kerrion in order to like really get see the ins and outs of his being, his ups and his downs, and how he shows up in his up, and what happens when he's down, and when shit comes out, and what's but what do you think about that?
It's very hard for me to say that without knowing him a little bit better, because I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where what's happened has caused a mental break.
Yes.
And that can actually cause narcissism later on, because you kind of put this shield up and become a shell of yourself and disassociate, so you don't feel what's going on, right? In extreme cases, I mean, I think that you disassociate no matter what, but in extreme cases, when it's repeated trauma, it can, especially with a child, it can cause you to grow up to be a narcissist.
Yeah.
And then I've seen where there's like, ideations, and there's like illusions, and there's where things don't really happen. But that would be severe psychosis that I don't think he'd be able to function in day-to-day. He's not functioning, is he?
Because what if he's on and off his medicine, like a lot of people? I do know my fair share of people with mental health issues who be on and off their meds because they get convinced that they got it, they cool. They also get tired of having to take the meds, so they will make an executive decision to go off, and then kaboom, like those episodes occur. And so
you'd have to know whether or not he
yeah.
had some sort of actual psychosis. Hallucinations is the word I was looking for, where he would have actual hallucinations. So that's the only way we'd ever know, right? If he has a psychosis, then maybe it didn't happen and he's believed it. It is real to him, right? Or again, flip side, something happened to him and maybe he blames dad when dad really didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But dad didn't believe him, so now everything's gotten conflated because he's created because it's been a psychotic break. There's a lot of layers to this. You can't, there's a lot to this. I'd need to know a lot more about him before I could even begin to tell you. Like, if I could actually talk to him and feel his energy, I'd be able to give you a lot more of. It'd be a lot more. I get a lot more clarity about the little glimpses that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm like, something happened to him. It's like I can pick up on that. But now again, I'm not sure, I got to know when that there's some psychoses there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a comment here that I don't know what the comment was. Yeah, this is just the craziest this is just a crazy situation. You have somebody who's mentally ill in a situation around a missing woman who turned up dead allegedly with this very public, very controversial relationship to his father, and these extreme allegations against Kerrion Franklin. And I mean, it's just, this is a this is a total shit show. This is a total this is a mess.
And with his being on Bad Boys Club, like, you throw that all into
and the person who leaked the audio initially ended up dead. This is just like some Final Destination sequel. Like, it's just so.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot.
So mark my words, though, before the new moon, the full moon here on Saturday, there's gonna be another celebrity.
Oh God, I ain't reporting on the next one. Whoever the fuck mess happens, man, I'm taking me a 6 months hiatus because baby, these folk got it going on. It's too much. It's too much.
It always happens in 3, so there'll be another celebrity scandal that we're gonna see. I'll be surprised if it doesn't happen before Saturday.
We came off the Will Smith shit. Now it's the Kerrion and Kerrion Franklin shit.
Jada was out here partying, child. She was out on the red carpet, honey.
That her and her head is now out at parties.
I'm like,
I guess
should you be at home somewhere or trying to get a flight to Dubai or doing something? How about you just sit your tail at home, sis? Just sit down.
Right, because we don't need nobody else referencing your head, girl, and causing a goddamn cataclysm as a result, honey. So please, I don't want Jada Pinkett Smith. If you hear this video, girl, if somebody send you a snippet to you, Jada Pinkett Smith, I don't want you to walk out of your head. I mean, walk out of your head. See, I already done fucked up. I don't want you to walk out of your house until you have total unconditional love for every missing baby hair and missing follicle on that scalp so that you can be empowered. And your husband don't got to come out here and put his whole savings account on the line because he's smacking niggas up in the name of your head. Okay, so stay your ass in a big ass 16 bedroom Illuminati ass mansion, girl, until you have healed your scalp up in the name of the black.
Listen, until she stops being a narcissist, she can't come out. So evidently, she ain't never gonna be able to leave her house no more. I'm gonna need her to stay in her house until I go on over there and tell Will go on to divorce that woman, leave her alone where she at, cause ain't nothing else good for you, bruh. And then you know what, sis? I'm gonna need you to go on and ring up August because that seemed to be the last man that could satisfy you. I'm gonna need you to go get August. He look like he all right now. So I think he can handle you. Now go and get to August because August wants you because he's posting thirst trap pictures. So he wants you back. Go and get it.
Go get your groove back. Go get your August Alsina back, Stella. And let Will go on to be with Tyler Perry and them allegedly, you know. But I let him go get his best same gender life on. Can't do it. Heart inspiration.
What's that man's name? Dwayne Martin. What's it? Dwayne? Is that his name?
Dwayne? Is it Dwayne? It's somebody.
Isn't it Dwayne Martin or something? Dwayne, isn't that his name? Y'all know. Oh, they said yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gone with Dwayne.
Gone with Dwayne.
He don't want teaching no more, no way.
Yes. Well, Heart Inspiration, I want to thank you for coming back here, boo. You may have to pull up again tomorrow, trying to.
Oh Lord, help us all.
So every damn day, but as always, before we get out of here, can you go ahead and let the people know where they can find you at out here on these streets?
Yes, y'all probably tired of this by now. Heart of Inspiration on the YouTube channel, you guys. You can just type that in. I'm right there. You can find me on Instagram at Heart of INSP and at my website heartofinspiration.net. Conscious, you are just a fabulous man. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Hell, you the one blessing my platform. The least I can do is let you have all the clout, child. You bringing your gifts, and talents over here, honey, and we are blessed and happy to have you. So y'all definitely support my girl, Hearts of Inspiration. I did hit you up last night, so I got to check your message tonight. I'm gonna check your message tonight. See your response. I went ahead and just responded to a whole lot of emails and just got everything out of the way. And I was so proud of myself. So even though I ain't going to get until like 6:30, but I nonetheless got it done. So I'm gonna respond to you tonight. And thank you for being here, love.
Thank you for having me.
Carry on in them prayers, as I know you will.
Absolutely. Okay. I want the young man out. Okay, honey, I'm gonna get on out of here.
Good night, love.
Good night.
That was Heart of Inspiration, you guys, with that soothing, therapeutic ass voice. So actually, you just like lay you down and just all your muscles just relax, baby. You probably even have a damn bowel movement on yourself because her damn voice just relax you, girl. Just reminds me of a siren, girl. Y'all know the mermaids and the elemental water spirits and things, baby. They had that voice, baby, that charm your ass right on off the end of the goddamn boat, baby. That's the voice that Heart of Inspiration gives, girl. Just make you relax all your bowels, girl. You know, you gotta wear a pamper when you listen to her, girl. Everything just go still. Before I get out of here, chill. Let me shout out, girl. You guys must have really enjoyed the sermon. I promise y'all, I did not intend to preach tonight. I really did not. Okay. But some of y'all really enjoyed the sermon. So I want to give my fair share of shout outs before I go up out of here, girl. Y'all told the Cash App up, honey. Y'all already know the PayPal and the Cash App information is in the banner and in the description box below. If you want to bless the king, girl. I want to shout out Tyra. I want to shout out, of course, my baby mother, FB. I want to shout out Ty. I want to shout out Nicole. I want to shout out Marquita. I want to shout out Martha. I want to shout out Carlisa. I want to shout out Caramel. I want to shout out Sherry. Bless you guys so much for blessing the kingdom. I want to also shout out my boo Oz Gardens. I think I got my other PayPal boo, because people will either PayPal or Cash App. I want to thank you guys so much. Sending light and love to the Kerrion Franklin family. Keep them in y'all prayers. Carrion got court today, so we'll see what the docket gives tomorrow. I will be in the building with commentary. You know, the show must go on. Wishing the best for the Franklins, Birth, Kurt, and Carrion. It's just this is what the hell an entanglement is. It's nuts. Thank you guys for being here. Please share this video. Once again, if you're new here, please subscribe and give me a nasty thumbs up. If you didn't do it in the beginning and you didn't do it in the middle, do it at the end before you sign off. Please thumbs up. This helps my video so much. And if you catch this in a replay, please make sure also to thumbs up this video. This helps to support the motherfucking algorithm. Shout out to Larry D. Reef. I hold it. I want to say this to Larry. People are saying that Larry should be careful Larry is very aware that Kerrion has an open case, and that's why he's made sure that these conversations are pre-recorded first, so that anything that needs to be edited out that would be problematic, you know, can be edited out before it's produced to the public. So Larry is not stupid. He's not making content per se out of Kerrion. He's very aware of the circumstances, and he's not going to do anything to intentionally harm Kerrion. Okay, you guys, this is why Kerrion trusts Larry to begin with. So I just wanted to speak to that. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later on today.